The people of HabLON, the habitat of the League of Orbital Nations, have been through a lot over the past several centuries. They developed a revolutionary, flexible, and heat-absorbing material called silica graphene mesh, or SGM. They invented nanotechnology and artificial intelligences far more advanced than those found anywhere else on or near Earth. Using these technologies and the shell of abandoned debris surrounding the Earth, they built a new home in the stars. From there, they made first contact with alien life, the Centaurans, a cybernetic fish people from Alpha Centauri, and the Andromedans, sapient gas clouds from the Andromeda galaxy. They were the first to be warned of the emergency, a massive galactic parasite that consumes all civilizations it finds, drawn by signals no one else can detect or understand. The traditional powers of Earth did not like any of this, and created weapons to humble and destroy HabLON and the upstart League. These weapons backfired in what came to be known as the Mistake, turning deadly squid-like machines on their own creators. At the same time, the emergency finally arrived in the Earth sphere. Using its engines and orbital mechanics, HabLON fled to the asteroid belt with as many people as it could carry, determined to hide until the emergency left. A deadly new battle station built by the wealthiest nations on Earth pursued, hoping to take HabLON for its own privileged passengers, the Solar Free State. No one knows what became of those left behind on the Earth. Out in the asteroid belt, the people of HabLON agreed to allow the passengers of the pursuing battle station to take refuge in their habitat. This turned out to be a mistake, as the military and corporate overlords of the station staged a violent assault with the goal of taking all of HabLON for themselves. A great war raged, invisible to the world outside. The battle station installed itself in the skies of HabLON as an ersatz sun. The people of HabLON seeded their atmosphere with hostile nanomachines. The people of the false sun gained the upper hand through chemical attacks and a lucky hack, and decimated the population of the habitat in a few short weeks. They had won control of HabLON, but could not live there themselves. Instead, they set up a puppet government, destroyed an entire generation, and created a fictional new culture and religion to control the people below. Through genetic and technological tampering, they abbreviated the lives of the people on HabLON and robbed them of their heritage, even harvesting their bodies to house the consciousnesses of the Solar Free State elite until a solution could be found to the deadly nanomachines. Hundreds of years later, a group of youths learned the truth and took the battle to the sun itself, destroying it and ending its cruel reign. Humans who had survived elsewhere in the asteroid belt, the Hygieans, came to wage war as well, but instead found an unlikely peace in the wake of the sun's destruction. Unfortunately, this climactic battle drew the attention of the emergency. Now, an uneasy alliance of humans and aliens seek to revitalize the ravaged HabLON and build a new life together. The emergency is coming. Someday. Until then, life must go on. These are the continuing stories of a broken sun. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to our interstitial episode between seasons 2 and 3. This is Stories of a Broken Sun. I am Matt, or ARP. My pronouns are he or they. I've got lots of options going on. You can find me on Twitter at YCaliber, follow the show at Broken Sun RPG, or visit our delightful website, at brokensunrpg.com. Today, we are playing I'm Sorry, Did You Say Street Magic by Caro Assertion. This is a city building game, and it is a delight. You should all go and pick it up, and I'm sure after you've listened to us play it, you'll be even more excited to do so. I am joined by a wonderful cast of individuals today, and I will introduce them now. We are first joined by Keekers.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Keekers, also known as Space Cat. My pronouns are she, her. And today I'm excitingly awaiting for when the natural disaster buttons will be available so I can make a couple tsunamis or giant thunderstorms in this simulated city.
We are also joined today by Michael Blood.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Mike Blood. I'm also known as Salasdreas online. You can find me on Twitter at GoodSirBlood, and my pronouns are they, them. For this episode, I'm going to be playing myself, but in between seasons. So just between Michael.
Between mics.
Amen.
And furthermore, I am joined by Trudy.
Hi, I'm Trudy. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm looking forward to playing a new system today.
Thank you. And finally, we're joined by Velvet.
Oh, it's me. Dark greetings, morsels. I'm Velvet. I use faer pronouns, and I'm going to try not to wreck too much shit here.
That's all right. I'm sure these things are fairly resilient like cities in the real world. For all of us, this is our first time playing the game, right?
Yep.
Yes.
I remember.
If the game is Street Magic and not SimCity, yes.
It is Street Magic. That's the one. Okay, so I'm going to introduce the game. We're going to start on page 11 of the PDF here. So I'll read the first part aloud. I'm Sorry, Did You Say Street Magic? Is a city building story game. We take turns exploring our city. By the end of the game, we will have created a place that none of us could have imagined alone. Our agenda as players is to create a vibrant and multifaceted city, to fill that city with life and personality, and to expand on each other's ideas together. Unlike many tabletop games, I'm Sorry, Did You Say Street Magic? Is played without a game master or facilitator. The game goes back and forth between phases of independent and collaborative creation. At times, we will decide on certain aspects of the city as a group, but on your turn, each of us has complete control over what we add to the city. Let's see, we'll go down the list. Keekers, can you read the player safety and support section here?
Yes. Okay, I'm Sorry, Did You Say Street Magic is designed for light, breezy gameplay. However, much like exploring a city in real life, a game of street magic might lead us down some strange paths or in unexpected directions, like natural disasters anyway. Here are a few different safety tools we can use during the game to look out for each other. Any of us can use these tools at any time during play. So you can change or add these tools as a table to suit your need as you see fit. Player safety is always more important than gameplay. Rest stops are when you step away from the table for a few minutes. We use this to break, to stretch, to catch our breath, and get some water or a snack if we need it. We can also use it for a chance to talk about the game so far and the direction it's heading. Check in about taking a rest stop frequently, but at least once after each full round of play ends before the next begins. Now we're on to holds. So rest stops are a great way to check in on your fellow players. They aren't always, but they can't always resolve issues that come up in the moment. Holds are a great tool that work to address that concern. Anyone can call for a hold at any time to pause the fiction of the game. So calling a hold might look like placing an open hand or a fist on the middle of the table, sending a message to everyone that says hold in your group chat for an online game, or just saying hold out loud. You should agree on a single signal that works for everyone at your table. Use holds to ask clarifying questions, raise concerns, or check in before, during, or after potentially heavy moments.
So how would we like to do holds? We're not using cameras today, so do we want to say hold or do we want to type it into the hub chat?
I prefer people saying hold because sometimes I miss what's in chat, but I can't miss when someone says hold.
There you go.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Good.
Okay,
so lines and veils. Anyone can call a hold at any time, but lines and veils mitigate the chance that you might need to call one. These tools help us set boundaries. Lines are subjects that we do not want to appear in the game at all, and veils are things that can appear in the game, but we all agree not to discuss in extensive detail. So, for example, in our game, we have surgery as one of our veils, which means we can talk about surgery, but we don't go into extensive graphic detail about it. So anyway, it probably and definitely will help to write these topics down in 2 separate lists. If you can't think of any lines and veils at this point, don't worry, you can always bring them up later.
Yes, I've put the lines and veils we're using a program called Ginkgo, which thanks to Faye of the Starlit Wood on the Friends at the Table fan Discord for pointing this one out to me, is a great way of playing this particular game online, ginkgoapp.com. So in our first card, I have put our lines and veils that we usually have for Stories of a Broken Sun on there. So again, you can just hit enter when you click on that and type in anything new that you want. When you're typing in here, you use an asterisk to make a new list, and the pound sign makes a heading. There's also, if you can just click formatting help, and it will tell you how to format stuff. Next up, we have setting the tone. Mike, do you want to take this one? You don't have to read every single adjective.
I won't, but I will read this. The first part of creating our city is establishing its tone, the color and texture of the setting we want to explore. As a table, let's decide on 3 adjectives that will set the mood of our city. We should pick at least one from the list below, but we don't have to limit ourselves to these options.
Insert huge list.
Big list here. Once you have settled on 3 adjectives, write them on a blank index card and place this card at the center of the table where everyone can see it. We use these words to start a brief conversation about our city. Let's come up with a big picture idea. Is it modern? Riffing on a city we are all familiar with. Is it set in the past or in a strange speculative future? Do ghosts exist? Do robots? Do talking animals? All of the above. Keep this discussion about tone and genre brief. Advocate for your own interests, but pay attention to what excites your fellow players. Paint with broad brush strokes and don't fill in too many details. Give yourselves room to be surprised and delighted as the game unfolds.
Okay. We don't have to do the italic stuff right now, but so that we're clear, both as players and for the audience here, we are building a city on HabLON, on the habitat. And this is the city where the cultures meet. So that's the basis that we're going to start from here. This is the place on HabLON where the people from Gov's domain and the remnants of the Society on the Sun and the people from the Hygiean fleet and all of the different cultures within that meet together when they're not living apart. So as we know, part of the negotiations that you and the Sunbreakers started during the end of season 2 told us that the Andromedans were, going to just live around HabLON, and because they don't really require territory in the way that we might think of it. They are made out of gas. They just kind of hang out. Mostly they use resources and they want interaction. The interaction is a valuable thing to their culture. Whereas the Centaurans wanted some territory in the Salt Lakes on HabLON in sectors 2 and 7, and you had agreed for that as well. And the human groups in the Hygiean fleet wanted to establish their own towns or cities and terraform their regions using their style of terraforming. But we wanted to have a conclave, a place for these cultures to meet. And I think that conclave is going to become a city where it's like a metropolitan type city. So the question is, what type of tone do we want for this city, the color and texture of the setting? Now, they have this big list of adjectives. Is there anything that jumps out to you as something that interests you?
I'd really like the city to be colorful.
Okay. Can we say vivid if we're looking at this list?
We can go with vivid.
Okay.
Or bright. One of those would work.
I'll put both of those in there for now.
I'm trying to figure out the right word for this, other than, since we have Centaurans, I wanted, this isn't an adjective, but what was going through my mind was canals, like Venice.
That sounds like physical aspects of the city that we can add in as we're playing and building it. But definitely canals, I think, are a great pull for how we'd like the city to look.
So we could put as an adjective aquatic.
Okay. Amphibious, maybe?
Amphibious. Yeah, that's good.
Ooh, I like amphibious.
Okay. I like kinetic. I like the idea of a city that's, young, energetic, and constantly moving.
Yeah.
I also like the idea of eclectic because there's all these different technologies marrying.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have one that you like, Velvet?
Oh, yeah. I think along the same lines as kinetic, I was thinking hungry.
Hungry.
Ooh.
Okay. Now we've got vivid and bright up here as options for this first one. is there a way that we're leaning one way or the other? Because they have slightly different connotations to me.
What are the connotations they have for you?
Like, to me, vivid means it's like painted in very stark, light colors kind of thing, like a vivid painting.
Mhm.
Whereas bright to me also comes with the connotation of being upbeat, optimistic. Whereas vivid doesn't necessarily have that positive tone connotation to me.
Gosh, this is hard. Team, y'all have any ideas? Any preferences among the two, from the two?
I kind of want optimism.
I'm kind of leaning bright myself. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then let's go bright.
Sounds good.
okay. So, I mean, we're only supposed to pick 3, but I feel like amphibious is not necessarily a tone adjective,
Yeah,
but it's something that we should definitely...
That's true.
I think we should put that under touchstones. I'm going to put that up there for now.
that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got bright, kinetic, eclectic, and hungry. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you got to keep those in mind as we're building new parts of this city. They should fit into, or they should like amplify these tones, these adjectives. Okay. We've written them in there. Laying the foundations. Okay. Trudy, would you like to read this page?
Sure.
Okay.
Once you have set up the tone of the city, you're ready to move on to the next step. Before you really start exploring the city, you will begin by adding just a few cards to the table to spark everyone's imaginations. If one player is facilitating the game, they should lead. Otherwise, the player who most recently rode public transit should go first. Turn to the section on exploring a neighborhood and follow the instructions. Explain your thoughts to the table as you do now. How is this particular neighborhood essential to the city's existence? What makes it different from other parts of the city? Walk through the process of creating a neighborhood's true name. Make sure that everyone has a grasp on it. Once you have created this neighborhood, introduce to your fellow players in broad strokes the idea of visiting a landmark, pointing out the close relationship between a landmark and the neighborhood in which it is nested. When you are done, play moves clockwise. During this first pass around the table, every player should add either a neighborhood or landmark to the city.
Thank you. So I think we'll get to that soon, but Velvet, could you read the last section of the intro here, naming the city?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Naming the city. You might have noticed that the rules have not asked you to name the city yet. This is intentional. If after you lay the foundations, you feel you know the city well enough to name it, take a moment to agree on a name and write it on the central index card above the 3 adjectives. If you don't yet have a name for your city, don't worry. Let it arise organically during play. Don't try to force it, but be sure to name your city before the end of the game.
Dang, Velvet, I can see why you're feeling euphoric lately. That sounded great.
Hey, thanks.
All right. So, nesting. There are 3 layers of things to create in this game. You've got neighborhoods, landmarks, and residents. Now, during the first round of play, laying the foundations, we're not going to be making any residents yet because we have to figure out what the structure, well, not the structure, the table is not geometry, is something that Caro often says about this game. And I think it's written in here as well. So the way that the cards look doesn't dictate the physical look of the city. In fact, we should not worry about what the city physically looks like at all in terms of the layout. We can think about it, but this is not a map-making game. It's a city-building game. So the 3 actions that you can take on your turn are explore a neighborhood, visit a landmark, or meet a resident. And when it's your turn, you have complete control over this aspect of the city that you're creating. You can ask for help and people can make suggestions, but it's always up to you at the end of the day what it looks like. So again, make sure that you are keeping in mind the adjectives that we've established here. You know what we haven't done yet that I think might be useful is setting some touchstones. So we've got amphibious in here as a touchstone, but is there any existing media or any existing cities or towns or places that you think we should keep in mind or use as touchstones when we're creating this one? Could be real or fictional places.
I had a fictional place that it kind of made me think of.
Mm-hmm.
Public City from The Legend of Korra.
What was it called? New Republic City?
Yeah, isn't that it? Republic City? Or is it New Republic City? I'm sorry, it's been a while.
I know what you mean, though. That's the...
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I guess that's a similar idea where people from all the different nations lived together there. So it's a similar idea for sure. What level of technology are we thinking would be common in this city? My personal idea is I would like it to be to fit with the tone, to fit with the technology that the HabLON folks have been using. It would be more organic-based technology, like a city that is parts of it are grown or cultivated rather than built.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Same.
Yeah, I think that's like, I mean, part of me even imagines like there's parts that were just like, I don't know, say grown as in the traditional plant way in a way, but also part of me is imagining like metal shaping.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I know that sounds like, oh, metal bending, but I mean, like, I could just see, like, at one point, like, Emran, like, building a structure out of SGM that he is just, like, full, shaped out of it.
Yeah, I mean, Emran could absolutely just sculpt a tower at this point with his powers.
Super powered.
I've put organic and cultivated, so it's like a garden rather than a traditional city.
Oh, I love it.
Got hype.
Any other thoughts here? Do you want to have things like, I mean, obviously there are going to be robotic people, but like, are there a lot of robotic people? Are there, fantastic types of creatures? There will be later on, but like at the start, are we going to be seeing things like coming out of the pillars and such? Do we want there to be mysticism or magic in the city to begin with?
I like that idea.
Always magic.
Yeah.
I would love for magic to be like one of the cornerstones of the city.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll put a blend of magic and technology.
Yes.
Okay. So with that in mind, I think we can start laying the foundations here. So exploring a neighborhood, we have to start with a neighborhood, because if you don't have a neighborhood, you can't have a landmark. So those are the 3 layers. Neighborhoods are the largest layer of the game. And once you have a neighborhood, you can put landmarks in it. And once you have landmarks, you can put residents in there. But it all starts with neighborhoods. So they're the broadest, most overarching type of cards that you can play to build your city. To explore a new neighborhood, take a blank index card and write an N in the top left corner. Give it the following 3 key elements: a title, a reputation, and a true name. So a title is what denizens of the city call this neighborhood on a daily basis. It could be named after the local geography, the history of its residents, or the types of business that are conducted there, to name just a few examples. Write this at the top of the card. Okay. So this is the first card here. I've written the word foundation in it. I'm going to edit this now to say this column here, where this card is, this is going to be our neighborhoods column. So every card in this column has to be a neighborhood to keep things organized. Let's see. N and okay. Are you okay if I take the lead on this, folks?
Please.
No
Please do.
problem.
Yes, of course, facilitator.
Okay.
Great title.
So I think yeah, it is a good one. I have an idea for what I want this to be, and it's like the embassy district. Like this
Ooh.
is where the people meet to do negotiations and stuff like that. But it has grown beyond just like, even in the short time it's existed, it has grown beyond just being like a cold political place to being a place where they've got like, okay, let me think this through. I don't think this is like big buildings, and in the buildings, people are meeting in like long conference rooms. I hate that idea. I think this is people get together in like a cafe that's set in a garden, and they sit there together under the trees and with the plants and stuff, and they work things out there, person to person, rather than like having a big, PowerPoint presentation or whatever about, here are the reasons you should listen to us.
So a little bit. Oh,
No, go ahead.
for some reason, I started imagining like the pavilions at the World Showcase at Epcot.
Okay.
Which, for those who have not been there or those who forget, there's like this big lagoon in the middle, and it's kind of a loop. And as you travel either left or right, you come into a pavilion of each country. So what I'm imagining is like, as you go along like this looped road or something, I don't know. I just don't like the idea of a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's maybe like one center garden or something, and then radiating around this one center like mingling garden is these other pavilions like with other gardens. Like the middle is like almost like a blended garden in a sense that is just like, I don't know, part of me is like central, but then like each garden has also buildings like for each culture or each like group. So like over here, oh, there's the Centauran garden with water garden, and then some buildings there with like some like restaurant or coffee house or whatever, and then as you move on it's like, oh, and now here's the Andromedan, and they don't really have food, but it's like pleasant gases that you can partake in.
Okay. So there's like, I actually really like that pull. I'm looking at a map of the Epcot Pavilion here, where it's got like, there's the World Showcase Lagoon in the middle, and then there's representations of different nations, like a little tiny slice of each area gathered around it. Yeah, I like that. I think it's probably what it's like here. And so I think in the middle, this lagoon that's in the middle of this district is like it's like a cooperative amphibious artistic garden display. So it's like a place where people from each culture can get together and like riff on art and cultivation and make something that is a blend of, Andromedan, Centauran, Hygiean, and HabLON arts and culture. So it's like a mixture of all these different styles of art that have been put together in this way. And then as you radiate away from that lagoon, you get to see each area has its own distinct section around it. So you get to see, this is what we can do together. And then you still get to see, this is what makes us distinct from each other. And then I think it would be kind of cool if when you're engaged in a negotiation with someone, like you can go to their pavilion and say, hey, I need to talk to you about, I got to move some stuff through your territory, or I need to talk to you about power sharing, or we need to get more access to the wave where we are, something like that. But you can also get on like a little boat together and paddle out into the World Showcase Lagoon. And like larger meetings, everybody gets on a boat and you go out into the middle of the lagoon and the boats click together, and that becomes its own pavilion in the middle where everyone is going to talk there together.
I really like to point out that Epcot means experimental prototype city of tomorrow. So again, big fan.
Okay. All right. So I want to emphasize this is not like a melting pot deal. Like it is still important for each of these cultures to have, this is what makes us unique. This is what our culture has. This is what keeps us separate from each other. But it also has this is what we can do when we cooperate aspect to it as like a symbolic thing. So I'm going to call this area, let's see, the title is going to be, this is a tough thing to come up with right now. Let's see. So I'm going to call this the Consulate Pavilion for now. And we can always come back and change that if we feel like it. But the Consulate Pavilion, sure, why not? And what else do we need? So that's the title. A reputation. In a couple of sentences, describe out loud the neighborhood's general vibe. Is it predominantly residential or commercial? How do its residents think of themselves? What do other neighborhoods think of them? Invite other players to ask questions and build on their answers. Write a quick summary near the middle of the card, right below the title. Keep the reputation brief. What you say out loud is more important than what you jot down. Just note a few words to jog your memory. I think we've been talking about this a little bit already. So vibe, I think, is it's bustling, let's see, artistic, cooperative. It's a colorful place for sure. I think it can be disorienting when you're there because there are so many different types of environment all together, and like the blended amphibious arts installations in the lagoon can be like dizzying to look at, and it can sometimes cause people to feel uncomfortable because like it's seeing their culture entwined with an alien one or an unfamiliar one, and that can cause some people to feel unsure or uncertain. His residents, I think, definitely think of themselves as we are people working for the good of our communities and, cooperation. So they see themselves as a positive and necessary force, like as the grease that keeps society moving. So they see themselves as, I would say, a little bit self-important, maybe a little bit arrogant, but they are a necessary part of this functioning society.
Yeah, I can see that.
What do you think what do you think the average person living in this city might think of this area and the people who live there? We don't really know what the other people are like right now because it's Foundation. So
sanitized?
Okay, sanitized. Viewed as sanitized by many residents of the city. Okay, good. Perhaps even idealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Too naive, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to a true name. Every neighborhood has a magic all its own. To confer a true name, come up with 2 or 3 descriptive sensory images that paint a clear picture of the neighborhood in your mind. Write these at the bottom of the card. True names can be tactile details of the space, but they can just as easily be metaphorical or symbolic abstractions intended to elicit an idea or personality more than a literal representation. Think poetically and play to the senses when coming up with names. Let's see here. So I'm going to put down here as its true name. I'm going to use italic text for this, which you put a star on either side. Dizzying array of some cultures. People arguing in hushed tones. Go ahead.
Sorry, are we just not able to see the card until you're done editing?
I guess not.
Because all I see is you're editing. I can't see the card, and I'm kind of curious.
So I have put dizzying array of arts and cultures, arguments in hushed tones, cultivated cooperation. That is the Consulate Pavilion, which gives us the first neighborhood for this town, or for this city. Okay, everyone gets a turn. You can add a landmark into a neighborhood, or you can start a new neighborhood. And you don't have to take as long as I did hemming and hawing. I was just, because I'm starting things out.
Okay.
Now, to make a new card, you click on this card, you press Control and down, and it will add a new card below it. Who wants to go?
I mean, I added a new card, but that was just me testing that out. Sorry.
I have an idea, but once
Okay. I guess while we wait for the dogs to be done, Keekers, do you want to put in that neighborhood you were thinking of, or were you thinking of that as more of a landmark in a different kind of neighborhood?
I'm trying to figure out if this is a neighborhood as much as, well, I mean, it's kind of like a large, I don't want to call it a neighborhood as much as kind of a large compound in a sense. Like, it's several buildings together, but it's not a full neighborhood.
Do people live or work there?
Yeah, people work there. There might be some housing, but not much.
Okay. I guess you can keep thinking about that, Velvet. Did you have yours that you wanted to contribute?
yeah, I have mine done. Should be fairly quiet now. Sorry for all the hullabaloo.
No problem whatsoever.
So I do have a neighborhood idea. Oh gosh, these cards confuse me.
All right, so click on the Consulate Pavilion and press Control and down, and it should pop up a new card for you.
Ooh, okay.
There you go. So tell us about your neighborhood.
So I think my neighborhood, per brand is gonna be the spoopy Halloween towny one.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
And
say.
I'm thinking, right? I know, really coming out of left field with that one. I'm thinking it's almost kind of a sprawling network of underground tunnels.
Oh, awesome.
Oh no.
Ah.
Yay.
So I'm gonna name it the Maw.
Yeah. Wake not the fury of the Spider Queen.
So how are these tunnels made?
So I think, and I don't know, hopefully I'm not jumping the gun since I intend to state this later, but I think they were made by a combination of, the swarm digging and then reinforced by, some admittedly crude constructions made by the rat folk.
Okay, because you're working on something Maeve is working on is uplifting rats, the giant rats from the hub.
Yeah, creating a tide of vermin, if you will.
Okay.
You might phrase it that way.
Mike knows what's up.
So this is a neighborhood that's been constructed, or rather excavated, by giant bugs and giant rats, presumably
Yes.
under Maeve's direction.
All right, so I guess I'm starting off with the descriptor, a sprawling underground network of tunnels, or
Mhm.
should I focus on just using adjectives?
No, it's fine to write that down. That's a good start there.
Okay.
And then you look at your reputation. So what's the vibe? What kind of things happen here?
So I think it's a lot of research and development. So it's very busy. I think the bugs are always carrying stuff to and from for the vermintide to play with.
Okay. And so the rats are doing science down here?
Yes,
Awesome.
science rats.
Got some secreted NIM going on there?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How do they think of themselves? Does anyone else live down here, or is it just them?
I think it's mostly just them. It's not like, an imposed rule that only the swarm and the vermintide can vibe, but I think most folks just don't want to be around giant bugs and giant rats.
Okay. I bet there's definitely a strong complement of Andromedans who live down here, because they would be fascinated by this.
Oh, yeah.
And would want to work on science stuff with them.
So I think
Sorry,
go ahead, Keekers.
is there one big rat that runs a martial arts dojo?
You could add that as a resident later on in the game.
That would be beyond perfect.
Keekers and I are in the same mental headspace. I was going to be the resident.
So I guess for adjectives, I'm noting down bustling, industrial, isolated.
Okay.
Oh, so it's hard to get to.
Yeah, I would say, they have, the bugs and the rats were able to get in through because they dug it, but like accessibility is still something they're working on, because I guess it just hasn't occurred to them that other people would want to go down there, and nobody's really made a push to go down there.
So is there just one entrance?
I would say there's multiple tunnels, but they are, just kind of tunnels and maybe some very like rudimentary lifts.
Okay. I'm getting a feeling kind of like, I don't know if anyone else has seen the movie Ernest and Celestine. It's based on a series of children's books, but there's this whole underground, well, it's an analogy. There's a city on top where the bears live, and then underground there's this whole society of mice who live there, and they come up during the night to steal the teeth from bear children who have lost their tooth, and then they use those teeth to make new teeth for the mice. But anyway, there's a certain aesthetic to that where they have these like cobbled together lifts to get from one level to another of their town that is making me think of a bit. Everything is kind of constructed from reclaimed materials and that.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. I'm a huge fan of Secret of Nim. I watched that all the time as a kid, and then just all the mice and rats and small vermin just making little cobbled together like homes and whatnot was always so neat to me.
Oh, like the littles too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
These are big rats. These are big rats and big
rats. These are like 7-foot rats on the subway.
They might still be cute.
Oh, I will say, to elaborate on your question, Trudy, I think there's multiple tunnel entrances as far as like auxiliary ones, but I think the reason it's called the maw is because there is like one big pit entrance that, they use it to bring materials up and down.
Gotcha.
Okay. There's just a big hole in the ground somewhere in this city.
Yes.
And that's where you go to get to the maw.
There we go. Just like every city. One really big hole in the middle someplace.
Everybody gets one big hole in the city. What do you got for a true name, if you got one thinking?
Ooh, for a true name, I don't know. What do you all think?
Like, we think about the kind of sounds you would hear down there. Maybe like skittering.
Incessant susurrus.
No, that's a good one.
How do I spell susurrus?
Sussurous?
I think it's just US at the end.
Is that just susurros?
Oh, that's where my head was at.
No, I love it.
Bioluminescent.
It's SUSURRUS.
SUSURRUS. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that is just susurros. That's funny.
Yeah. It's same root. I don't know. Like, is it like clanging or is it more bubbling? The kind of sounds you would hear from the research, or both?
Oh gosh, all of the above. Yeah.
So it's like that's the kind of stuff you can put in for the true name.
All right. So we got an auditory one, maybe a visual one.
What's the lighting like?
Yeah.
Do they use glowing fungus?
Yes, please. Sorry, no.
No, I demand glowing fungus.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I think there's glowing fungus just by virtue of like it's honestly, yeah, and I think that's probably what they mostly eat, so they avoid eating each other. Like I think just harking back to Maeve's childhood, it's just a lot of fungus in the caves.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Returning to our roots.
All right, awesome. Can't wait to see this card.
How would I type that? What's a fun way of typing that? Fungus among us?
Fungal glow.
Ooh, yeah,
bioluminescent.
Fungal glow.
I love Fungus Among Us.
I don't know why that got me so good.
It's good every time.
And then I guess to kind of play off that cultivated cooperation for the Consulate Pavilion, as far as like the society's like, I think it's very mutable.
Okay.
I think like if there's a thing someone is good at, they're encouraged to pursue that, but also it's like the Derek Zoolander Center for kids who can't read good and want to learn to do other stuff good too. Like embrace what you're good at, but like also learn new things.
Okay. Oh, something we didn't ask. How do the other people in the city view the maw and its residents? Is this like people are uneasy about it, or is this like people are cool with it and they're like, this is neat?
I think along what we talked about with the Andromedans, I think maybe the humans are a little uneasy about it, but I imagine, the Andromedans, Centaurans, and maybe other like non-humies that arrive probably like think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think maybe the HabLON people are more like Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, whatever. But then I feel like the outside humans from the other thing are more a little bit more negative.
More familiar, maybe, with unusual stuff. I think
I don't know.
definitely the Centaurans are uneasy about it, though. Like, because of what we've discussed about their cultural trauma around uplifting.
Yeah.
So I think they're not a fan of this area. But the Andromedans are for it. And sorry, Keekers, I interrupted you.
I was just saying that I thought that like the HabLON people might just be like, well, everything else is weird too, so why not this?
Fair.
Feel
HabLON be like that.
normal.
I like the idea of like little kids having dares related to this hole because it's just it's something that they're fearful of, but kind of also excited about at the same time.
It has slowly become a shibboleth to spend an hour with the bugs.
Okay, so I've got incessant susurrus, fungal glow, mutable society. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
I likes it.
How do I
Control enter.
control enter? Is there a special like pound something command for the true name?
It's italic, so you put an asterisk on each side.
1 second.
So we're waiting on that. Keekers, it looks like you've started to type something in here.
Yes, the Free Medical Hospital Compound.
There we go.
Awesome.
Free Medical Hospital Compound. It was just the best thing I could name it, but the official name, I guess, or it started out as let me go back to the page. I have some notes. So the official name is the Sharon and Daughters Clinic, but it's kind of been expanded from that. I feel like at the beginning, when the city was founded, it was just one building, and it's kind of grown from there, from just a regular medical clinic to also a hospital and also like some sort of pharmacy area, and then it's also a medical school, and I think there is probably like a veterinarian service tacked on there later too. So the I think some of the adjectives I have started here is that it's sturdy. I think that again, this is a medical compound, hence it's going to be sturdy in case something bad was to happen.
Okay.
I said also it was also sprawling because again, it's like been just tacked on and tacked on and tacked on. So it's like this big, weird, meandering medical compound. I also said warm because heck, no one likes eerie, creepy, fluorescent lighted hospital feelings. So I feel like that was another thing. And then I also did put eerie, but that's just some parts of it. Some of the offices, some of the other thing, like there are certain there's parts where you'll be like, oh, this is fine, and then you'll take a corner in a hallway, and then it's like, where the heck am I? What the heck is going on here? What is this?
So this is like a neighborhood that has grown up around initially one building, right? It started with that clinic, and then the neighborhood has grown out. It's expanded into like a medical district.
Yes, I don't want to say that it's more than like maybe 6 or 7 buildings, but it is like 6 or 7 buildings dedicated to different medical things. And it's technically all like part of one, like run by one administrative board or whatever. That somehow I will say here, somehow CD is the head of or one of the heads at this point.
Okay.
So I wanted to say, what were some of the other adjectives I wanted to say here or other descriptors? I think that like if say like you go into the hospital, like you're gonna get checked out or whatever for free and everything, but generally I think the only thing you would have to pay for would be just like extras. Say like, oh, you want a private room? Okay, well you have to pay for the private room, or say
Okay.
or something like it's not medically necessary. So okay, go ahead and basically, I want to say ethical. Oop, I zoomed in. Okay, so I think I'm going to add ethical medicine is the number one goal.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce an idea to maybe our touchstones or our tone here. I would like to avoid this being a capitalist society?
No, this is, again, I think that the way this is socialized medicine.
Yeah, no, I'm just putting that out there to see what the table thinks. Like, I would like this to be a society that doesn't run on the idea of gaining and concentrating capital.
For sure.
Yep.
Definitely not.
Yeah, no. Like, I don't know what we'd say about the people from the outside and their settlements, but like, this is definitely not capitalist.
Yeah, there's more like barter, trade, communal action, communal care kind of stuff going on.
Heck, money. All the Hobies hate money.
What kind of people live here, Keekers?
Students, teachers, / very popular. Like, I feel like there are going to be some doctors that have better apartments or whatever because they are like the hot shots. I think that that's just kind of the way it is. Like, basically, like, oh, you saved my little son's life. I will rent this, or not rent, but I'll
help you build this or help you grow this.
Really swanky spot. Yeah, but
I got a tree branch with a great view. You'll love it.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to say that there is a hierarchy in a sense, but it's not as caustic as it is in the real world.
Less competitive, more like friendly rivalry kind of thing.
Yeah. Just trying to phrase that in, for the thing. So
how do the people here think about themselves? How do they view themselves?
Oh, I think that's a great question. I think it kind of depends partly on your background, because some of these people are people from HabLON who are just like, let's say like Lean, they had a background in medical knowledge, but now it's like, oh, there's so much more I can learn and do here, and I can share my gifts. So I feel like some of those people are very, very altruistic, but also loving to learn and see more about this. I think there are other people that kind of do it and see themselves as, oh, well, I'm great, and I'm doing this for everyone else. But, part of it is just like the really more you like the attention.
So they're curious, like people there are curious, but also a bit attention seeking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't want to sound too cynical here, but I think there are a lot of doctors like that who do mean well, but there are the ones that you will find out there who are just, unfortunately, a little full of themselves.
Like, these aren't statements of like everyone who lives here is like this. It's just, this is the vibe. This is how how it feels when you're there. Do people like this area, like in the rest of the city?
I think people generally like the idea of free medical care that is administered competently.
Okay.
So I think they generally just put up with that.
Both tolerated and respected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have a true name in mind?
I was just trying to type some of the stuff. The true name is CD's brainchild. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, it's like just make the three adjectives, the three head doctors: CD, Horace, and Sarah.
Heros. Oh.
Heros.
I don't know if Heros is actually still working at the hospital. She might have gone off to do her own thing.
Gotta leave the nest sometime.
Mike, what say you?
Hey, what do I think Harris is doing?
Yes, you own partial custody of this character.
This is true. I am a.
You have shared custody.
I have what you may call a majority stake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what Harris is doing. I feel like Harris is probably. Well, I don't know how much longer after. This seems like fairly immediate, so she's probably like maybe a year or two older when this starts. I'm not sure what exactly the time is. But I don't know. Maybe she's like probably going to like adult kid school, but I have no idea.
The Derek Zoolander Center for kids
Yeah, exactly.
Good and want to learn to do other stuff good too.
That's where Harris is going.
We got to make that a landmark.
Adult kid school.
The adult kids school for all the different pre-adolescent life forms of the city. Send their adult kids. There you go.
That's exactly what I am. I'm an adult kid.
And we love you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh gosh. Part of the true name was CD's brainchild. CD's and Haros's brainchild.
Okay. I bet there's some tension between probably most of the people who live here are originally from HabLON, like in the city. There's probably some tension there around the fact that CD is from the sun, but that's something we can deal with later. But there's probably some tension there for sure.
Trying to figure out what to say after that. CDs and tolerated and respected. Tension in the undercurrent is what I'm going to say.
What does it sound like? What does it smell like? Stuff you can look at. Like imagery is important here.
Medical, but also cinnamon.
Okay. Cinnamon and disinfectant.
Everyone's favorite cookie.
Mike, do you want to add a neighborhood or a landmark in one of these existing neighborhoods? I've also changed the name of the neighborhood I made to Concord Lagoon.
Hey, that's a part of Bikini Bottom. You can't fool me.
Goo Lagoon, yeah.
I think I have a landmark for the maw, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Ooh.
So click on the
Hell
maw
yeah.
and press Control Right, and that'll make a card to the right of the maw connected to it, just like that.
When you visit a landmark, the landmarks are the second highest tier of cards that you can play with to build your city. They must be played within a pre-existing neighborhood card, and a neighborhood can and often will contain multiple landmarks. Put an L in the top left corner and give it the three key elements: a title, an address, and a true name. All right. I think that above the maw, I think it would be fun if there was like a massive series of cranes and scaffolds for the lowering of materials into and out of the maw.
Oh,
The claw.
For instance, one might be a giant claw, but I'm thinking just others, just like a massive amount, like a pirate city, just like a bunch of ropes and cranes and hooks and claws, and maybe
I mean, I would love it if it was a legit pirate city.
maybe there are space pirates there. I think that this crane city doesn't really have people who like it doesn't have residents, but people definitely live there.
okay.
I think it probably has a reputation of a criminal air.
Are these cranes, are these like big trees that have been grown into a crane?
I think so.
Okay. Maybe hooked together with like vines and stuff.
Yeah, just really instead of like ropes and pulleys, like vines and knobby branches and whatnot.
Okay.
But yeah, right now the title I'm working with is Crane Scaffold Park. That's I don't know. That's the title. An address. If it feels appropriate, this could be a literal address. After all, street names are another tool to reveal details about the world, but it also could be something more poetic. Is this the heart of the neighborhood or an off-beaten path? Is it several stories up or perhaps below the street level? Yeah, so it's a few stories up from the central maw, I suppose.
So address can just be above the maw.
And then finally, a true name. Similar to a neighborhood, each landmark has its own true name. However, this should be even more specific than the true name for your neighborhood. How does this landmark exist within the neighborhood it is being placed inside? Does it match the neighborhood style or push against it? What makes it unique? What makes it irreplaceable? What can you touch, smell, or taste? Imagine a landmark as you consider these questions and let its true name reflect your answers. I think it definitely cuts against the subterranean cave bug-filled nest vibe of the maw overall, but I think that it's extremely important to the overall connection between the maw and the city. Because while it's not entirely easy for bipeds or quadrupeds to get down into the mall proper, this is the major thoroughfare otherwise.
Oh, can I just share with y'all one of my weird brain pictures that popped into my head as you were talking about this?
Yeah, I'm open to it.
So I imagined like this made of wood and vines, like one of those cage elevators, and there's a giant rat standing in it as the bellboy, or the elevator tender, and he has one of those red hotel caps that the bellboys or what have you would wear in those old movies. And I just imagine someone like going up to the rat and being like, "Oh, going down," walking into the cage with the rat and them going down into the maw.
Instead of a rat, it's just a cockroach standing on its hind legs that just chitters at the person.
That works too.
Like you get into this cage, you're like, I guess there's no attendant, and then you just hear the and like ah.
It's like hundreds of cockroaches wearing one of those bellboy coats and hats, using the lever.
Gregor, is that you? A word that comes to mind, like some words that come to mind for me here, if you're working on your true name there, is like scrambling and leaping. I feel that's how people like get around up there.
It like the maw itself, it is not exactly super accessible.
No.
And that's a problem with this part of the city.
I bet there are like accommodations that are available. Like,
oh, for sure.
Probably you can get a spider to swing you over, or there's
Absolutely.
like a hammock or something that can. I bet there's stuff there because at least the people of HabLON are very used to building and designing with accessibility in mind, because that's just part of their culture. Trudy, what would you like to add?
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do another neighborhood, and to kind of pick up on something that you said earlier, I'd like there to be a bazaar. So for now, the name of this neighborhood is the Bazaar. My idea for it is that it started off as like one person just trading, stuff that they had, and then eventually just more and more people started coming out there to trade things or trade services. And so eventually it's sort of like much of the city became this big and sprawling area that's kind of just not structured at all. And it goes out all the way to the edge of the city. So I just like the idea of just a bunch of, people just selling, or trading their services or trading items. And there not being something like a big strip mall. I want it to actually be just a bunch of people just kind of hanging out, maybe setting up high-tech tents or whatever to protect themselves and their wares.
Yeah, you come in the morning and you grow your giant toadstool over your head.
Yeah, like that. And I know that you said earlier you didn't want there to be sort of a melting pot, but I like the idea of, things not being segregated here. And so, you may end up next to a different person every day, depending upon how early you get up to set up things at the bazaar. And, as a result, the people that actually work in the bazaar or sell or trade in the bazaar, all, I guess they are, I don't know, maybe more accustomed to other people's cultures. They may have a better idea of what other people are like, since they're always being set up with who knows who next to them every day.
Yeah, like when I just want to be clear on that. I love how this is described, and I love the idea that these people are melding together here. Just when I say it's not a melting pot, I'm just using that to refer specifically to the American idea of the melting pot,
right?
Where you come to America and you melt into a sludge or a soup of this is American culture. Your culture melts away into ours. So I'm just saying this city is not like that. People keep and maintain and evolve their own cultures as opposed to being expected to adapt to a dominant culture.
Got it.
I love a bazaar, and I love the idea of there being just big sprawling markets rather than a mall or anything.
Does anyone have any other suggestions or ideas?
What do the people of the city think about the bazaar?
I mean, I imagine that they enjoy it. I mean, it's some place to go, something to do. I see it as being a place that people go to hang out. Back when I lived in the middle of nowhere, no joke, Walmart was where people would go to hang out because that was the only thing that was there.
Not before real.
Yeah,
really though.
So I like the idea of the bazaar being a place where people, socialize. You may not necessarily be going there just to, look for things to trade for. You may just be going there to chat with other people.
Yeah, I love that. This is like a bustling heart of the city kind of neighborhood.
Yep.
I bet it's loud.
I think you're right. And bustling.
People probably know that, like, oh, we're going to the bazaar today, and then we're like, okay, I'll bring my headphones.
Your earplugs.
Yeah. Do you think it's overwhelming, or is it like, is there some sense of organization despite the fact that people move around?
I'm not sure. I'm sure that there's definitely parts of it that might be a little bit calmer. Like maybe the closer you are to the heart of the city, the louder it is. But the further that you get out in the bazaar, closer to the edge of the city, things are a little bit calmer over there.
Okay, so the reputation, so people like it. It's where people come to hang out. It can be a little overwhelming. Let's see. So that can be part of your summary, right? Is it predominantly, do people live in or around the bazaar?
There's probably some people that live around the bazaar. I would assume the people that are working in the bazaar probably live closer to the bazaar than further away. So, yeah.
Okay. So that just brings you to the true name.
The one thing I was dreading.
I think we've already got some ideas like overwhelming, flashing colors, raised voices. It's probably like, even if the voices are raised, they're still like friendly, right? Friendly haggling, friendly bartering.
All right. I'm just wrapping up my card now.
Okay, so once that card is done, that brings us to the end of the foundation phase, and we can start our first round. But before we do that, I would like to, let's see. So I was the facilitator this round, or rather I led the foundation round. So I'm going to go into our Street Hacks cards document here, where I have put together a series of shuffled cards that are story plot beats that are going to take place throughout this game about things happening in the world based on established, lore and story. So I'm going to pick one of these.
Oh, snap.
And let's see.
That deep lore.
Which one do I want?
Giant kaiju mating battle.
Yes.
Sounds fun.
I'm just going to do the first card. I'm just going to do this. I don't know what's under here, but
it is not fun.
The word is vaccines.
Golly.
Okay.
Let me
refer to my list here. Okay. Fundamentalist worshippers of Gov refuse the vaccine that CD and Sarah developed together. The one that resets the nanomachines and, removes the things like the 65-year life expectancy and locks them out of body modification and all that stuff. So fundamentalist worshippers of Gov who live in the city refuse the vaccine. Gov wishes us to live like this, they say. And a similar group, but different, says, why would we accept anything from the sun, knowing what they did to us? If you don't deal with this belief is going to spread throughout the city. Bodily autonomy is a factor here. How do you deal with this issue? And in this point, you can embody characters that you have played or other NPCs in how you deal with this. What do you think is the response here?
I'm just,
I was going to say the Sword of Gov might try and speak with the followers of Gov and let them know, Gov wants us to live our best lives. And this is, the way of that we can live our best lives, our longest lives, and do good in the world using that extra time.
Maybe something along the lines of like the debt is repaid or something like that, because the idea of the soul debt was central to the worship of Gov. The idea that your soul cannot be freed from this endless cycle of debt until you have paid Gov back enough for what they did.
God, I forgot all about that. Yeah. I mean, that's how she would spend it.
Okay.
And, would use her influence as the Sword of Gov to try and, convince people that, yeah, she knows what she's talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would definitely have an effect on the fundamentalist worshippers. Keekers?
I was going to say, we also have actual Gov to speak up on this point now. Just have like ashram.
They're around. Whether they would want to, that's a good question. What do you think one of them would say, or any of them?
I just kind of imagine CD like trying to contact one of them and being like, hey, can we get one of you to like say, we will look over this vaccine and see if it's harmful, and then, just say, oh, it has a seal of approval from me if you approve it.
I think, let's see, who would be the one who would deal with that? That's probably going to be Gashram, right?
I was thinking, like, CD is like old buddy, old pal Gashram, who I guess I was interacting with partly through all these years.
Okay. Yeah, I think when you contact, or when CD contacts them, or everyone contacts them, Gashram is, I think, because Gashram, Ongjo, Veliko, and Itrar, they are not really gods. And this whole worship system that was built up around them in their absence is still like baffling and upsetting to them. They don't like it. Probably Veliko thinks it's kind of funny, but still doesn't really like it. So yeah, I think they're willing to make a joint statement, and I think they try to avoid interacting with people living here for the most part right now, because it's really awkward to try and have a conversation with people who think you're a god. But yeah, I think they agree that they will make a statement in support of what Zora is saying and be like, yeah, this is, we took a look at it and yep, this is a gov-approved vaccine, which I think assuages a lot of the concerns here. They're probably still like holdouts, but this isn't a belief that's going to spread at this point.
I hardly think I'm qualified to come across as sanctified. I don't cut it with a cherubim. Sorry.
Hardly think I'm Oh, there you. That's gonna be. It's gonna be in my head.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so how the rest of this game goes is that each round, all of us add something to the city, but each round is sort of run by one player, and we take turns running around. And when it's our turn to start and end a round, we declare a compass. A compass is this really vaguely defined anything. It's what we're going to point towards with all the things we add to the city in this round. So it's the theme or subject of exploration for this round of gameplay, and it's helped set the tone for the round. If the compass is politics, then each of the things we add to the city in this round should have some connection to politics in the city. Does that make sense? But it could be like politics, fashion, arts, conflicts, religion. These are all things that could be a compass that will give us a focus for the things we add to the city in that round.
Dairy industry. Sorry, I got excited.
You are a cheese fiend. That's what you are.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a foods compass. And then
this is the best game ever.
Yeah. So let's see here. I want to declare a compass because I guess I'll do the first round, seeing as I started the foundation stuff. So the compass for this round is going to be, this is the tricky part of this game, coming up with a good compass, coming up with a good name. Transportation.
Ooh.
That's my
Nice.
compass. Transportation is the compass. So cities are dense, packed with stories, stacked atop each other. In order to give each round focus, one player chooses a compass to keep the story moving in the same thematic direction, at least until the next round. So anything can be a compass. A neighborhood, a landmark, a resident. You could pick as your compass. You could say our compass this round is just the maw. And then everything that we build should be related to how people view the maw or people in the maw or stuff in the maw or whatever. Or our compass is, the crane city. And then each thing should be linked to that in some way. But I've declared the compass as transportation. A compass can be an idea that already exists in play or something that you make up right on the spot. Okay, so I'm going to type in transportation in the first card under compasses. And that means that whatever I add in this round, whatever everyone adds in this round, should have some connection to transportation. Okay, I'm going to put a landmark in the bazaar.
Oh,
Okay, so a landmark in the bazaar that is connected to transportation. Oh, I know exactly what this is. This is the Train Corral. So I want to make sure I'm spelling corral properly.
I like trains.
Okay, so the Train Corral is where all of the light rail transit in the city, they sort of they keep, it's a depot, but the buses and the trains and stuff, actually I'm going to change it to the transit corral. It doesn't have to be trains. The transit corral. So transit in the city, I think, is alive in a way. So it's not like a bus or a train or, a helicopter. It's, your transit is this very large caterpillar. You put a tent on the back of the caterpillar, and then people get on the caterpillar, and the caterpillar follows a line of caterpillar enticing food to the different stops that it gets off at.
Cat bus, cat bus, cat bus.
The cat bus is a little bit more body horror than I'm going for. I don't want people to get inside of a thing's body. But yeah, it could be
A palanquin braided to the fur of the cat.
maybe. Okay, so a caterpillar I think is kind of slow, so I think it's probably more like a centipede.
Hell yeah.
So maybe this is something that Skitter is or Chitter. Maybe Chitter is involved in this kind of deal. Is like a component of the transit system, is like the big old centipedes that are, from the hub, or the ones that large creatures that have been emerging due to the issues with the freezing systems where all the animals were kept. The same stuff that's leading to the creation of the pillars could be creating these, big centipedes and other creatures that people use for transit. So I'm going to put where the transit centipedes and other transit creatures live. when off duty. So let's see. When creating a landmark. All right. So where is it? I'm just going to put north edge of the bazaar. And what is its true name? I think, so I'm going to put chittering, munching. What's another word I'm thinking of here? When a bunch of people get together and they're, what do you call a puppy pile?
Really cute.
Okay. So it's like a puppy pile, but with transit bugs. So like just a bunch of centipedes cuddling up together.
The best.
Cuddling, chitin,
Everyone's favorite.
resting. All right. So that's the true name there is chittering, munching, cuddling, chitin, and resting. So that's a landmark in the bazaar. It's the transit corral. And I think it is very much at home in the corral. It doesn't, or in the bazaar, it doesn't like push against the aesthetic of it because it's, it's this big, loud, exciting place. And, one of the things that happens to be there is here's where all the big bugs sleep when they're not carrying people around the city.
All the kids go with their little globs of, I just imagine like handfuls of centipede mush for the centipede. It's food for the centipedes, but they call it centipede mush. And they come out, put in their hands and reach out, and then the little centipedes start eating them with their little mandibles and then lick it clean. And children giggle. They take their hands and then they move on. And
yeah, I think like being a worker at the transit corral is a job that for a certain kind of person is like the dream job. All right, so that is my contribution to this round. So who else would like to establish a neighborhood, landmark, or resident in some way connected to transportation? It doesn't have to be related to these bus centipedes. It can be anything transportation related in the city.
I mean, I don't want to call it a neighbor. Well, maybe it is a neighborhood. The canal network.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I would call that one because people could live in boats on it or live in boats at the docks or whatever. So,
is there like a nexus where the canals meet?
I mean, part of me wants to say that a lot of the canals stream out of they all connect at the Concord Lagoon, but so
maybe
maybe
make it a landmark there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna exit out of this blank card and not delete it that I was making, so that then someone else can try to edit it, or I could edit it later. Just I don't want to mess with that.
I think we're probably not going to use 95 more cards during this game, but
I don't want to take any chances, ARP.
Yeah, it's true.
You never know.
Okay, so I want to call this the lagoon. No, the canal system. Okay, so what do I say about it?
For a landmark, you don't need like a big description. Just how does it fit into the neighborhood? Where is it? What does it do?
So streaming from the Concord Lagoon. Okay, now sorry, I'm just looking at other people's cards to figure out how I format it. It's really hard to press to talk and type at the same time. Unless I try to type with one hand. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking. I got scared there for a minute.
So what do you think the true name might be there?
Aquatic, streaming,
splashing, laughing, murmuring.
Yeah. Aquatic, streaming, splashing, flowing, flowing rivers of water.
All right.
I also like to imagine, just as an aside for flavor, now that I'm talking about it, I imagine there's like one part where all these Centauran children or other children learn swim classes.
Yeah.
In the canals.
That sounds awesome.
The youth.
Oh, the wee little fish babies.
Wee baby Centaurans. Okay.
The Centauran I play for next season is going to have to be Scottish. I'm sorry, everyone.
Who is up next?
Me?
All right. What do you got?
Spaceport?
Yeah.
Spaceport.
Space.
Savior of the universe. Dun, 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 dun.
You think the city is built like around near the old spaceport?
I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's probably close.
Yeah, that would make sense. So sure, yeah, the spaceport would just be like a neighborhood in the city. From anywhere that you're hanging out in the city, you can look over and see the big mountain of the spaceport.
So Spaceport Mountain.
Oh, just promise me that there's headrests.
There's spaceships in them there hills.
Well, I'm imagining that like all the like garages are just carved into this big mountain. The hangars for the spaceships, I mean.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just imagining the different characters going from place to place as we like build these in. Like I just imagined like at one point when I was talking about the Spider Crane Park, I when I imagined the person going down, I imagined it was Harrow's, and now I just imagine it being Keva like going to the spaceport, going to one of these caves or whatever in the spaceport mountain where the Express sleeps part of the time.
It sounds nice.
Keva going up to one of, maybe I should add her as a person to the spaceport, but anyway, like, hi Express, how are you doing? I hope you like your own special little cranny nook we carved into the spaceport mountain for you.
So it looks like you've written out a true name there, Mike.
Yes.
You want to share with the class?
Oh. Wearing of machines, takeoffs and landings, and flooded hangars for fish people.
Okay.
I'm all about that.
Now, people must live in and around this area for it to be a neighborhood. So
For sure.
how do they see themselves, the residents of the spaceport neighborhood?
I think these are probably the most cosmopolitan people, so to speak. These are the HabLON citizens, the Sun people, the Centaurans and Andromedans, and sentient megafauna and flora that are just probably, if not in the Concord Lagoon, who are the like more official. This is the place where people mix the most. This probably has the most variance in residential structure as well.
Okay. People moving in and out to visit the Andromedan and Hygiean fleets and all that stuff.
I imagine that a lot of the people here that like live there, like live on their ships. So it's almost like the garage is like where they dock their ship, but they still live on the ship, or, you know, what's the word? Like the, not runoff or spill out, like the overflow of their stuff, like on the sides of the garage.
Instead of houseboats, it's house ships. Yeah, probably a lot of people from the Hygiean fleet would be really used to living on a spaceship to the point where like that would be a part of their culture even that they would want to maintain. There's probably a large Hygiean human population here. How do the people in the other parts of the city think about this area?
I think to jump off of what Keekers was just saying, it's probably not considered very clean.
Okay. With
the hustle and bustle, even with like, I'm sure we have robots, even with bugs running around, potentially eating and cleaning garbage. I think that this is one of the more industrial rather than grown parts of the city.
Okay.
And so it's a different kind of aesthetically pretty, but not aesthetically pleasing to a lot of people probably.
Yeah, I get it.
Metal against rock.
Okay. Who else would like to add something? Or rather, who wants to go next? Trudy or Velvet?
I'm still kind of brainstorming, Trudy. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, I'm also in the same place as you.
All right, I have kind of an idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking of some kind of air transit system, even if it is just for like, maybe priority type stuff.
Cool.
Andromedan space bikes.
Yeah, I mean, some kind of... Yeah, maybe even just, like some kind of Andromedan hamster ball, and then just have like, bees or other winged instincts carry it.
I just thought of Boy in the Bubble and lost my mind briefly.
Oh,
is this connected to the maw, maybe?
Maybe it comes out of the Spider Crane Park. Just because I figure like the winged instincts definitely aren't hanging out in the maw proper. It's too cramped for them.
Okay. Yeah, so you can make that as a landmark in the maw, like the air transit hub or something like that.
Yeah, it makes sense that it'd be up in the trees. So,
like, what? Sorry, the thing that like popped into my head was like, oh, above all the like structure, like we have the Spider Crane Park. I feel like right above that is like this floating dirigible full of bees. It's horrible.
No, I love the honeycomb dirigible.
It's a solid name.
Sounds like a boss you'd fight in a Sonic game.
That's a possibility. Mike, I don't get the GIF. I don't get the predator.
Because somebody said up in the trees, and whenever I hear
the honeycomb dirigible does in fact have a telltale shimmer.
There you go. if you look at the honeycomb dirigible for too long, you start hearing.
I've never seen the Predator movies, so this is
I
probably
don't recommend them.
lost on me. Okay.
As a person who loves Alien and Predator and Alien versus Predator, I don't recommend them to anyone.
Yeah, I feel like if you, as a fellow fan and a consumer of those films, yeah, I watched them. I enjoyed them. I don't think I've ever recommended them to anyone.
I would never, even people who like schlocky horror. I'm just like, there's better schlocky horror.
I mean, I've never seen any of the Alien movies or Alien vs. Predator either. My only touchstone into these are the cameo that was on the one Disney ride, the scene from Spaceballs, and
Right.
that's just some things I've gleaned from the internet. That is all I have ever experienced of these, and I really
That's all you
don't
need.
want. I don't want to experience anything else because that is extremely creepy to me. Oh, no, I am just not a fan of that sort of horror.
Yeah, you have the colloquial touchstones, so you're fine. Yeah.
There's my question about these the air transit bugs. Is it like, are there different sizes of air transit bug? Like, are there some of them that like maybe you get a couple of them together and they fly with a gondola under them for larger groups, or is it like just a bee comes down and picks you up and flies you somewhere?
Yeah, I think there's different sizes. Like you mentioned, some of them are maybe more personal type travel, where it's maybe for emergency stuff, like I don't know, maybe like medevac type stuff, or just if there's somebody important needs to get to somewhere else important. But then also you got big chunky boys that can ferry supplies to and fro.
Awesome.
Maybe there's sensitive materials that you don't want to risk through crowded streets, or just the bustling wouldn't help. So, the air travel could be smoother.
Mm-hmm. I like that there's just this like dirigible or group of dirigibles that's in the sky, and that's just like where the flying bugs hang out and dispatch from.
Yeah, it's almost like a shield helicarrier type thing.
Is it the...
No one would ever dare assault the city, for it has dirigibles full of bees.
Is it the Monarch's Hive from Venture Brothers?
Yes. Yes. Oh,
it's just always hanging in the sky ominously.
Always.
People are like, oh no, that's just the bee depot. That's the
Numbers
depot.
24 and 42 are in charge of dispatching the drones where they need to go.
Maeve is if Dr. Girlfriend were the mighty monarch. That's Maeve.
Dr. Mrs. the Monarch. Excuse you.
Dr. Mrs. the Monarch. I'm very sorry.
We will be unstoppable. Sorry.
What a wild show.
The Monarch is definitely like
look
in
into
charge
my
of the
eyes
whole
when
thing.
I kill you.
For the true name, I'm gonna use bustling, but I'm gonna spell it buzzling.
Floating.
Yeah, floating, suspended.
Go into these dirigibles. Do you start like talking in a high voice because of all the helium, or?
I think it's not even the helium. I think it's almost like a psychosomatic thing. Like because there's so much buzzing, you imitate the buzzing.
Belium.
Belium. All right, that's a true name. Belium.
What does it smell like?
Sweet.
Okay.
Of course. I was just about to say.
Love it.
Just a little black rain cloud hovering under the honey tree.
Oh, I did the same thing.
And it's full of bees.
There we go.
Okay. We got buzzling, suspended, belium, sweet smelling. All right.
I'm just thinking of the Red Baron, but it's an ant.
We've got Porco Rosso, but they're like
It's all bugs.
beetle. Yeah.
Buzzoroso.
Trudy.
All right. So I don't have any ideas for locations, so why don't we do our first resident?
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meeting a resident. Residents are the individual characters and people who inhabit the city and are nested inside of landmark cards. A landmark can contain multiple residents. To meet a new resident, take a blank card and write an R in the top left corner. Like neighborhoods and landmarks, each resident needs a title, a common name known to all. Let a resident's title inform their personality and vice versa. Write their title at the top of the card and write their pronouns next to that. Describe this resident briefly to the table. If they have a noteworthy profession or other important qualities, feel free to write that information down, but don't spend too much time writing. Just use a few words. What you say aloud is more important than what you write. Like neighborhoods and landmarks, every resident also needs a true name. Unlike neighborhoods and landmarks, however, a resident's true name is established through a collaboration during a vignette, a short scene in which all players may participate. A vignette is a brief glimpse into a resident's daily life. To begin a vignette, the current player decides where the scene takes place. The location should be connected in some way to the landmark where the resident is nested. When in doubt, setting the vignette at the landmark itself is always a safe bet. The current player embodies the resident. Other players play various aspects of the setting: the weather, music, local flora and fauna, sights, smells, tastes, the passage of time, or other characters in the scene. This goes on for a while. Basically, you do a little scene, and the player who is playing the resident can make requests of us, and then we figure out a very short scene of what the resident does day to day.
Wow. It's a little overwhelming, but I guess we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
What I wanted was the caretaker who stays at the transit corral and takes care of the creatures that live there.
Oh, hell yes.
Awesome.
Nice.
Ooh.
I'm the bug guy.
The bug person, their pronouns are they, them.
Okay.
I'm the bug
Nice.
person.
The bug
It's-
person.
They still sound like that, though.
The bug wrangler.
I'm the bug wrangler. The bug. I speak for the bug. It's the Lorax, but more horrible.
I just imagine speak the collaborative thing.
The
It's just like,
borax.
The bug snack. Oh no, not bug snacks. That
No,
game is
but
horrifying.
that's different.
That game is so horrifying.
So where do we see the caretaker, Trudy?
Like, where do we see them? Like,
Yeah.
for the scene?
Yeah. Set the scene for us and then tell us what you want us to do.
Oh, geez. So they're going to be at the transit corral. Just how about caring for one of the sick centipedes?
Okay. The centipede is going.
Oh no.
I'm trying to think how one would care for a sick centipede. Having never had a sick centipede, this is very difficult to imagine.
You don't have to tell us any details. They are caring for the centipede is fine.
They are caring for the centipede. All the centipedes have names, by the way,
Okay.
There's Robbie Biscotti.
that the caretaker gave them.
The caretaker. Go ahead.
Sadly, the caretaker doesn't have an actual name yet. So
It might be that the title is more important than the name.
that's true.
Like when you take on this responsibility, you become the caretaker until you're not doing it anymore. Then you go back to your life.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, okay, so they're caring for the centipede. How are they speaking or acting as they do it? We don't need to know the details of what the caring is, but what are they doing as they care for it?
I imagine that they have a deep kinship with all the creatures they take care of. So they would probably, speak to the centipede a lot, even if the centipede may not necessarily understand everything that they are saying. And would just make sure that the centipede feels very comfortable and, probably at the same time still try to manage the creatures that are still doing well and that are working. So
The centipede, turns their head, cocks their head left and right, kind of like a dog or a cat when they're listening to someone speak. It was like,
would definitely scritch and pet the centipede.
I think the centipede enjoys that.
Yeah. Matt, your centipede noises are so cute. I just want to cry a little.
We stand a cute bus. Does anyone want to add to the scene? It doesn't have to be a character that you add to the scene, but Trudy can say could someone play one of my family members? Or let's frame this as a montage. Or I'd like this to be a solo scene. Please only be abstract elements of the space. You could talk about the weather or, what it smells like here or tastes like. Or you could be another character coming in.
For some reason, I imagine it tasted like hay.
So basically, we're in this scene until, Trudy, you feel like you know this character's true name.
Oh, God. See, the true name thing gets me every time.
It's think of it as their true name is just a brief description.
Yeah.
Using adjectives.
I can probably come up with a true name already just because I have a good idea of who this person is.
Okay.
Kind, caring, gentle. There's got to be at least one or two more things. Does anyone else have any ideas?
I guess if it helps, one of my questions was going to be: does the caretaker live on site, or do they, commute?
I think that the caretaker lives there,
Hmm.
just in case anyone gets sick or if there's any problems that they're there on site to take care of them immediately. The caretaker probably doesn't have any. They have immediate family, but they don't have a spouse or any children of their own.
Okay.
You might say that they are very dedicated to their job.
Basically, the bugs are their children.
You could put that as a description. The bugs are their children. True name.
Is there a uniform or something or a costume that they wear in this role?
They probably have something that they wear to distinguish themselves as the caretaker. I'm sure that everyone that is generally in the bazaar probably would know them even without them wearing anything specific to their role, just because they've been there and for so long.
Okay. Maybe it's just like a stole or like probably nothing that would get in the way of their moving quickly because they'd have to climber up and down these bugs.
Yeah, so definitely, not very drapey clothing. Probably slacks and a shirt that's tucked in.
Maybe a hat of some sort.
I love hats, so yes, a hat.
So what does the official caretaker hat look like, do you think?
Gosh, I'm trying to think of what the name of the hat is. I like the idea of a paperboy hat. That's it.
He's a newsie. They're a newsie.
Yeah, the newsie cap.
They're
Oh,
a
gosh.
newsie. They're a buck newsie.
I just love those hats so much. So let's have this character wear the newsie hat.
They're great hats.
Does it have like maybe a woven design of like a centipede head
Oh
in the
god, I
hat?
love it. Or the little hat has like embroidered like little centipede details on it.
Yeah.
It's actually a hat that's supposed to look like a centipede.
Cute as hell.
Little antenna sticking up from the brim.
Oh god, that's so cute. I'm dying.
Okay. Maybe put that as a note about their, appearance as you're putting in your true name there.
Absolutely phenomenal.
And that brings us to the end of our first full round.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which means that we need to do holding an event. After everyone has wandered the city during the current round, the player who first declared the compass finishes the round by creating an event that changes or alters the city in some way. Your event should be related to the compass that you set at the beginning of the round, or to a card that was played during the round. Events are a good way to tie up loose ends on questions that arose during a round. However, an event can also be a chance to highlight an aspect of the compass that was unexplored, or to recontextualize other elements of the city that were discovered during play. An event is always connected to a neighborhood, landmark, or resident. On your turn, describe the event in a sentence or two, then choose the one card on the table that it most closely relates to. Something has changed within the community. What is it? If it isn't already clear, explain how this event serves as a connecting point between the card you have chosen and the compass currently in play. Take a new index card, fold it in half, write the event summary, and then an event might affect multiple residents, landmarks, or neighborhoods, but pick one. Okay. So once I have set the event, we each do voices of the city. So each player gets a chance to respond to the event by taking on a voice of the city. So you're not doing a character in this case, but it's how does the city in general feel here? The myriad perspectives and viewpoints of the community. So on your turn as a voice of the city during the event, you can ask a question about the origins, implications, or repercussions of the event. This is a rhetorical question. You can state an opinion in one or two sentences that some members of the community hold toward the event, or you can show a consequence in a sentence or two of people in the city reacting to the event. A consequence can be about a specific resident or more abstractly about the community at large. Okay. Let's see here. What's the transportation-related event? Oh, okay. I think what is going to happen here is that people start opening growing apartments on the honeycomb dirigible. So there's like one of these events, like a celebration, as people are opening up a new place to live. It's like, come join us high above the city, the best views possible here in the honeycomb dirigible, residential zone. So around the outside of this big flying hive, there are apartments that are being made for people who would like to live in the sky. So there's an event to celebrate this, like a grand opening party for the honeycomb dirigible apartments. So for this event, I think it's like a fancy kind of party. So people are there in their best clothes, and there's bee honey related foods and hors d'oeuvres being served. And there's like music, and people are doing honeybee style dances. You know how bees do dances for each other to tell each other where the honey is or where the best pollen is. Hey, the pollen's over here. There's like a coordinated communal dance that people do based on that, you know, in celebration of the bees and of this opening of the residences aboard the hive. So, voices of the city.
Are these new apartments going to block my view of the sky?
Are we going to write this down?
I'm going to write down the event, but Trudy has, as a voice of the city, asked a question. Everyone else can take a turn as a voice of the city.
Yeah, I mean, does the voice of the city? Do we write that down? Or
No, it's just
okay.
I'm going to write it down as an event over here.
Is that safe? Living so close to the bees, is it safe for the people there or the bees?
Okay. It's another question that people have there.
Now they're building apartments on the dirigible. Next, they'll want to open up timeshares in the mall.
Mike, do you have a voice of the city? You can ask a question, state an opinion, or show a consequence.
Is a consequence? Is there a person experimenting with gene splicing and trying to become a bee person?
All right. Some people start trying to become bee people, if you will.
The people. Oh God, what have I
Bee
done?
people, bee people.
The bee people have spoken.
We, the people,
Wow.
the United Dirigible.
We are the radical bee separatists.
The rise of the monarch.
We want to tell the rest of the city to buzz off. Oh Lord.
Matt, do you get to do or say something here?
Yes. Altering the city. Events change the city around them. At any point during the event phase, the player who declared the event may select a card or cards on the table they feel have been changed by the circumstances of the event and reflect these changes on the corresponding cards. So what I am doing here is I am changing the honeycomb dirigible from a landmark to a neighborhood.
Dun dun dun.
Wow.
Because people live there now. And I've added a little summary of our discussion around the event here.
Bee people, bee people.
Buzz like bees, talk like people.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of the round. So completing an event, the player who declared the event is the last player to take on a voice of the city. This way they have the last word on the event as well as this round's compass. So I think there is, as we said, a lot of grumbling from people worried like, is this going to block my view? What's going on with the people living up there? Is this safe for the bees? I think the general consequence at the end is, you know, there's people experimenting with like, can I grow bee wings? Can I grow bee wings and live in the beehive? Would I like that? And it sort of becomes a general attitude in the city of like, as long as they aren't hurting anyone, knock yourselves out.
Is this Chitin Punk? We're all just becoming part bug?
Well, that's our genre now.
Chitin Punk.
Chitin Punk is... Wait, that's Hollow Knight, isn't it?
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah.
Let them fight. Stories of a Chitin Punk son.
After the event is finished, the round is over. Take a quick rest stop. Check in with your fellow players about how you were all feeling and about the direction of the game so far. How are you all feeling?
I love this game.
I'm very excited.
It's fun.
Are we okay with how the game is going so far?
Yeah.
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 I'm jazzed.
Okay.
I am stoked.
I'm startled.
Oh.
Of the bee people.
All right. So I've added to the list of events grand opening of the Honeycomb Residences, and I've got the event summary in the Honeycomb dirigible card there. I think that'll be a way for us to keep track. Okay. At the end of a round,
While
I'm going to pick. Go ahead.
While we're doing our hold, can we take a 5-minute snack break?
Yes, I was just about to suggest that.
Okay, good.
So at the end of the round, the thing that I've hacked in is the Street Hacks cards. So I'm going to grab one of those, and then we'll take a break. If we're all okay with that, or if you want to take a break right now, we can do that now.
Either way is fine with me.
That's why they call him Cliffhanger.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go down this column. Troubling Tots. Okay. World famous goat Jolly has babies.
No!
Oh. Yes.
No one is certain who or what the father is, but these are not normal goat kids. What is different about them, and how does the community react?
I mean, if you don't give us a father, I will make Mori a resident, and we will figure this out.
Oh my gosh. So that's going to be our thing for the next.
That's just what we're going to talk about, like, quickly right now. What is unusual about these goat kids?
They are sapient.
All right.
We have satyrs. Yes.
We have satyr
Okay.
people.
So sapient goats born of Jolly, at least sapient or sentient. I guess sapient, you said. And like, I guess they can learn, they can talk. Are they bipedal or do they still walk around like goats?
They still walk around like goats.
Yes, please, please. Don't make this too creepy.
It's not going to be too uncanny valley for you.
Do they have any physical characteristics that distinguish them from regular goats?
Their horns glow in the dark.
Yep.
All right.
I love
Ooh.
this so much.
They have completely red eyes with no irises.
No. No. Can I
Okay.
put a hard no?
You
No in
absolutely
that?
can.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course
They
you
can
can.
have red eyes. They just need irises.
They have red eyes with irises.
Yes.
So their horns glow in the dark. They have red sclera. And is it regular goat irises, like those double ones?
Oh.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Do they wear clothes?
Oh no. No.
They
Because
don't.
that is making me think of one of my greatest childhood traumas.
Okay, you don't have to explain any further. No is fine. So sapient goats with glow-in-the-dark horns, red sclera, regular goat irises. They can learn and speak. How does the community react to this?
Like, this isn't the worst thing that's ever happened.
Many people want to adopt them.
Okay.
I'm sure that there's a whole fight over goat custody.
I think there's an ethics committee that is drawn about what to be done with the sapient goat people. 'Cause they're not to be treated like animals, obviously.
You're right.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's like all of a sudden, like, there's a bunch of people that are starting to like figure out, like, okay, how do we adapt things for them? Like, how do we make things that can work for them because they don't have hands? So like, there's this whole like
How do we accommodate their needs?
how do we account? Yeah.
Okay. I think in general, people probably come down on the side of these are not animals. We cannot treat them as animals. So therefore, they need to have the same rights as any other resident of the city. Does that extend to Jolly herself?
Clearly, something ain't right with that goat.
I don't know what the heck happened to Jolly. I'm still like, as myself, but also like the Keva part of me is just like,
Does Jolly talk now?
Yeah.
I want to say that Jolly is psychic now and can connect.
There we go.
Talk
Jolly
to
is
Keva.
psychic. Okay.
Jolly is psychic now. Her goat children have not manifested psionic abilities yet, but they might.
Okay.
No, it is only communication psychically. It's only that. It's not extra powers.
That's still wild.
Okay. How do the Sunbreakers feel about this? Like specifically your characters?
Oh, no.
0 to no idea.
Zora's quite fond of goats for obvious reasons, so she's quite fond of these goats as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Keva is just like, she was really, really excited about Jolly having some kids, and then it was just sort of like she's flabbergasted. Like,
Okay.
these are children I have to take care of, but also, wow.
These aren't just kids. These are kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
These are Utes. Maeve is very interested in how this happened.
Of course, Maeve is.
I think there's a segment of people in the city who are like, Maeve did this, right? Yeah, it had to have been Maeve, right?
This was Maeve. Maeve has done some witchery.
Like, what did Maeve do now?
She just gets like odd looks every now and again, and she just gotta be like, "It wasn't me."
This
like,
one wasn't me.
I was fine with the rat people, the sentient bugs, the floating homes, but then you turned goats into people.
I just want to imagine Keva being like, Jolly, what the heck happened to you?
I'll never tell. Okay, let's take a break.
Oh gosh.
Distressed bleating.
Okay, we are continuing our game of I'm Sorry, Did You Say Street Magic by Caro Assertion for Stories of a Broken Sun in between seasons 1 and 2. We have all the same players, and we've completed our first actual round, which means it is time for somebody to step up and take on round 2.
Well.
I'm ripping away the training wheels.
Now stumble, children. Fall.
Or fly.
I have an idea. If no one else has something they're particularly excited about,
I had one.
go for it.
I had an event back in my show notes which
Well,
was
you have to finish. We have to declare the compass first, and then do the round, and then the event at the end of the
okay. Well, the compass was industry.
industry.
Ooh.
All right, I'll type that in while you start telling us about your introduction. What are you going to add for industry?
Well, as it turns out, kind of piggybacking on the back of those troubling tots, I think that because it had been talked about in the end of last season about how our mid to end, I don't know, Kevin was talking about how a lot of people on the good old Hygiean fleet would like to have dairy become a part of the trade deal. So in this moment, I am going to declare dairy industry district.
Is it just dairy, or is it like the food industry?
Oh, this is just dairy. This is just dairy.
There's a whole neighborhood that's dairy.
Welcome to Cheese World.
Okay, no, this is fine.
This includes where all the dairy animals live.
Ah,
So think of it as the farm dairy neighborhood.
I need you to know right off the bat, I'm going to introduce the Dairy Queen as a resident. So please just start mentally preparing yourselves for it.
Isn't that Keva? Isn't
Come on.
that just Keva?
That's just Keva.
Okay, Keva, Dairy Queen.
does Keva believe in monarchy?
Does Keva believe in monarchy?
This is when Keva has a startling character reveal.
In the nominal sense, yes. In the sense of power, not really.
Tell us about your neighborhood.
The dairy industry neighborhood, I'll just call it the dairy district. Y'all knew I was going to do this at some point. It's not that odd that it was inevitable. Just a gif. Someone make a gif of Thanos saying "I am inevitable," but instead of his face over it, it says the dairy Keekers bringing up dairy-related things.
I'll get our producers on that right away.
And for some reason, my cat is just hollering in the background. He
Caterwauler?
stopped. Yeah, he's a character, that Derek.
All right, so tell us about the vibe. Is it predominantly residential, commercial? I assume industrial. Do people live there? What's it? I mean, people have to live there. It's a neighborhood.
Yeah, well, it is somewhat industrial in some parts, but these are free. These are pretty much free-range farms in the city with these goats, sheep, and actually cows have been reintroduced too. A lot of the cow farms. Sorry. A lot of the cow dairy farms are actually owned by former Hygiean residents, because to them, they are more used to the taste of cow's milk. So it's like, well, and we're going to get higher yield from our cows than we would from goats or sheep or whatever. So again, a lot of the cow farms are run by Hygiean expats or whatever.
And there's probably also like a synthetic process that can be used so that you don't have to keep tens of thousands of cows. It's like you have them, maybe it's a starter culture that the cows have, and you can develop more from that. Because otherwise,
that would be fun.
You're going to have a lot of cows.
Or you have to appeal to the council of mind goats for their starter culture.
Well, I wonder about this, like how we would get, how far we would get with GMO, or not GMO. I guess it is a genetic modified, because I just wonder, like, in the future, have we been able to breed cows that just produce, like, way too much milk for their own good?
If we have, I'm kind of uncomfortable with that being part of this setting.
Yeah.
True enough. It was just...
I'm happy to have like herds of cows, like you said, free foraging. Like I think rather than being the way that we have milk in our society, where like everyone must have milk and dairy all the time, milk is just like a sometimes treat to make up for the fact that we don't want to have factory farming.
I mean, I think that, again, milk has always been introduced into societies because of the fact that it is, again, our ancestors were very, very into the idea of we're going to get calories wherever we can find them that are pleasant to us. Hence the cultivating, raising, and harvesting of milk and herd animals.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's less of a concern in this society. Like, it's not that we need lots of calories because we don't have enough, because from the food raising processes that we have between the Hygiean fleet and the HabLON, like farming methods that take up a lot less space, like there's enough food for everyone. So if it's something like dairy, then it becomes like, rather than a necessity, it becomes like a cool thing that you can have.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. I feel like then in that case, in a sense, they've found great ways to stretch it, if that makes sense. Like ways to engineer that, like, say, you're going to have a great cheddar cheese, but it's going to have less actual milk in it there in this future than in our current time.
Yeah, for sure.
With this other stuff, fillers, as it were, but good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like some soy or oat.
Okay. So the people who live here, like, are they mostly the people who tend to the herds?
I would say mostly yes. I think a lot of people that might work in like I think that these factories are mostly mechanized, but the people that would work there administratively or whatever live in other districts. But I think that farming wise, anyone who has one of the open range farms or something like that, they would live there.
Okay. How do they think of themselves?
I think they think of themselves as very earthy because they are participating in one of the oldest ongoing professions in the world, in the universe, as they would call it, as he would say. I think that you get a lot of people who still kind of follow Gov or cling to old ways employed in some of these places because to them it makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something, say like you back in the, before all this happened, let's say you were one of the people that was in one of the, like, you worked as like
A herder.
a herder, or I was gonna say you worked as one of the people in the church, a scribe or something, and it's not really needed as much now in this more modern society. So then you fall back into farming, which is something you would do part of the time anyway. So you have skills in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's the reputation we've got there. So what's the true name?
True name. I do want to say it's very organic, very earthy in a way. Like a weird symbiote, like a weird combination of like these factories, but with these also farms in between them,
Is it a sustainable kind of practice in this area?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe like sustainable, earthy, loamy. What's the smell?
A good animal smell.
Say the good smell of animals.
Okay, I think that works. I'm just gonna start typing some of this stuff down for y'all.
Okay. Who wants to go next on the industry compass? Like, industry, I don't think has to be like industrial, huge factory stuff. It can be, lots of things are considered an industry.
I think I got one.
Yeah, I'm just rolling.
Maybe a district where or it might actually I'm trying to figure out if it'd be part of the bazaar where people make clothing and other textiles.
Yeah, that could definitely be in the bazaar.
I don't have a good idea for a name though.
You can just start by calling it, the textiles place. I don't know, the textiles
The
mill.
textiles place.
what do you call?
I love it. The textiles place. That's what it's called now.
Just come and get some prints at the textiles place.
I imagine there's just a bunch of people that work there. It's probably not anything like what we think about like factory textiles. Just a lot of people that are working together. It's less harried than I think it would be in modern day settings. And the people that work there are all stop at the same time, have lunch together. They know each other very well. They know their children, and sometimes the children are also there if they can't find someone to take care of them for the day.
Okay.
So it's just a friendly, family-friendly place to work where everyone just knows one another.
Sounds nice. Like homely, communal.
Yeah.
Where is it in the bazaar?
Huh. I
it
imagine
like-
it was probably something that was established pretty early on, just because clothing is kind of one of those things that people need. So I would say it's more towards the entrance of the bazaar than it is further away.
Okay. Maybe like central to the bazaar or something like that.
Yeah.
Just thinking address.
Yep. And I'm almost done with my card.
Awesome. Who's got something next? Industry.
I got some industry for you.
Hey, I'm industrying here.
Right over here. Have some industry.
Tell us about it.
I think the connected to the textiles is a resident.
Ooh. Who is this?
I think that this resident is Emran has developed a massive amount of fascination with making robots, and also has found that he is very, very good at making cybernetics.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
And I think that Emran has started a collective of individuals. It's not necessarily Emran's machine shop, but Emran's just a touchstone for this larger collective that's in the textiles area of the bazaar, who makes like cybernetics for people and works with robots. And that's what Emran does over there.
So are you introducing Emran as a resident?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Emran lives in this city.
All right. Now, SGM is a kind of more of a textile than metal in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's a woven thing, so that makes a lot of sense.
What's the deal? Need a title. Yep. Pronouns. He, him, of course.
So what does Emran look like now? And how long has it been since that mission that we're seeing Emran?
I think that Emran shows up in the city probably a few years afterwards. If I don't know how long it's been, maybe a year or so afterward, when the city really starts to blow up, Emran moves in and starts this SGM weaving shop over in the textiles part of the bazaar.
Okay.
Emran probably still likes to wear like pilfered clothes from the previous generations of the station before they were blasted back to the Dark Ages.
Mm-hmm.
I think he still likes to wear like what we would consider more modern, if a bit futuristic clothing. Much older, I think, still the same hairstyle that we see him in the art, but not too terribly worse for wear. Just wanted to settle down and plant roots. And I think Emran just looks, he's in his mid-20s. He's a bit more chillaxed than he was.
Okay. How would you like to frame this vignette?
I think someone has an idea.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense for Keppa to be there.
I kind of imagine Emran is like, for some reason, I imagine him sitting on the floor at like an actual loom, like sitting on a pillow, but it's probably not how it looks.
What does Emran look like as he works SGM into cybernetics?
I think Emran probably has like some work pants and boots. I don't know what the material is actually like, but I think that Emran in this particular vignette is working the loom with his psychic powers shirtless.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's a private moment, and Emran is making a more permanent shield over and integrating the shield that was made.
That Keva made out of the Express.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gosh, I just imagined like Keva coming in with like arms full of stuff for some reason, like. She's been out bartering at the bazaar or whatever, and Kai comes in and is like, sorry, I'm having one of my moments.
It's all right.
Where's my show notes? Keva comes in and puts some of the stuff down and kind of like reaches up to kiss Emran on the cheek. And because he's shirtless, she says, I've been saving this one up, but whenever you aren't wearing a shirt, it makes me weaken the cheese.
One of the threads on the loom snaps. That's good.
Oh, for a second there, I was afraid that you didn't like that one.
Oh no, I liked it. I just lost focus.
That was me laughing. That wasn't Keva. Sorry. I know I kind of said that and did that a little bit in that higher Keva tone.
What's Keva like now?
See, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm like, well, how's her hair different? Hold on. Well, we were joking about Keva being Dairy Queen, but hold on, let me open up this prototype image of what Keva has changed about outfit wise. So physically, I think that Keva hasn't changed much, in that she's still short by HabLON people standards.
Mhm.
But I think she kind of carries herself taller at this point. I want to say that her hair has definitely grown longer, but it's pulled back more like in a higher updo in a sense. I want to say a little bit like Princess Leia's hairdo at the end of A New Hope.
Mhm.
And she's taken to wearing kind of like a decorated sailor-y army jacket sort of thing that's orange. But like those, like it has like the structured shoulders and it's got like the braid and the gold buttons at the side. So it kind of looks like an official, not a uniform, but it looks official.
Do they live together? Are they together?
Yeah. Wanted to let Mike say that. Yeah, they're together.
What was the response that you gave probably shortly after you arrived to settle down in the city? What was the response you gave when Esme asked if she could join you?
Oh, like living?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the norm on HabLON is polyamory because that's how families were structured, right? You had several parents and one kid.
Of course.
So to her, it wouldn't be unusual, but I know it's not something that Keva is comfortable with. So how did that go, do you think?
I think it was a conversation we had all together,
Mm-hmm.
just explaining where we were at emotionally as a couple and also as people who grew up together. Obviously, this is not a situation where we just like never explain, but no, we're very open, I imagine, with Esme. It's like, hey, that's not something that we want to do right now as a couple.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of like left as like someday. I mean, like maybe, like I'm sure that there is a guest room area sort of thing where it's like if you want to visit and come by and just say hi, and hang out, that's fine. But the bedroom door is shut at this point.
Yeah, I don't think Esme is like offended by
No, of
this
course,
or
yeah.
anything. She's just
Mhm.
like, yeah, well, I'm not going to wait around, but you two kids have fun. And you see her around because she lives in this city somewhere.
course. That's hype.
I don't think she's here all the time though, because the Rainbow's Apogee are still very busy with their own work.
Mm-hmm.
They are superheroes. They're the Power Rangers.
Do you two see Maeve much?
Kevin would insist on it.
I want to show Maeve my cool robots.
Yeah, I'm around.
I'm sure Maeve wants the rat people to have cybernetics.
I'm sure that it's like part of me feels like it's more like Keva and Emran go to visit Maeve than the other way around.
I think that Maeve definitely has spiders in her house watching us, just in case.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of a known fact, but basically Keva has marked certain areas of where it's like no spiders come in this area or over here. So it's like these red marks like over a bedroom door or the bathroom. And I want to say, drawing back to the previous thing about also that there is an area that is just there's like a sign above the door in like colorful letters that says Jolly's Wing.
Hmm.
And this is where Jolly and her horrible, terrifying children live.
That reminds me, do those goats, do they speak with their mouths or do they speak into minds like Jolly does?
I think they speak mechanically.
Mechanically. Okay.
Oh, like the collars, like in Up?
Yeah, like I think they're definitely capable of fully sapient speech, but they needed like one of those collars the dogs had.
Yeah, they need like an interface.
Yeah,
like,
an interface, that's the word.
Yeah, like as a baby, it was like they could kind of say words, but it would sound weird.
Okay.
And then Emran must have just figured out a way, like Emran and Keva, like working together jointly, created these Up collars, and it was just like easier. But Jolly still doesn't want to wear one
because she has those horrible mind powers.
Yeah, but I feel like she only ever really talks to the Splinter kids.
I trust that she talks.
I mean, I feel like maybe like other people like she's known for a long time, like say Lean or maybe Zora occasionally, like if Zora comes by. But I feel like Jolly doesn't not deign to talk to just anyone.
Of course, she has standards. Does Zora come by?
Yeah, I'm sure Zora would keep in touch with everyone and visit occasionally.
Okay.
Come by and get that sword looked at occasionally.
Yeah. That too.
Yep.
So how long after the finale is this all of this taking place? Like when does the city really start going?
Sounds like this scene is maybe 4 or 5 years.
Like that feels like a suitable amount of time for the city to have become what it is.
And things have been just relatively peaceful.
Everyone's just waiting because, the emergency is coming, but people have to get on with their lives.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I guess it's kind of like now where there's the pandemic and everyone knows that, but you have to do something. Or no, it's not like now because that would imply that people are foolish all the time, I should say.
Oh no.
It's kind of like that the Cold War mentality. There's always that threat hanging over you, but you still have to live your life.
Word. Cold War with the universe.
Mm-hmm. And like there's like emergency watchers, like people who obsessively check the telescopes and the news for like, where's the emergency now? And is the shroud holding? Does the emergency know where we are right this moment? Have we moved? But I think at this point, it's been like, there's only so long you can maintain that state of hypervigilance before that becomes background to your life.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen. Everyone knows it's going to happen, but it hasn't yet. Okay. Let's see. Velvet or me, I could go. Either one's fine.
Up to, I have one.
Go for it.
I think I want a kind of alchemist guild.
Ooh.
Because I think just by virtue of it being underground, I think it's a horde. It's a horde. The horde is made up of the swarm and the vermintide. I'm gonna say it. The horde has access to a lot of fun underground stuff, like the various fungi and roots, and then whatever like weird elixirs are a byproduct of whatever the rats do.
Okay.
And I think it's also just an offshoot of the fact that they probably have different medical needs than the humanoids. So maybe their clientele is mostly like other non-humanoid folks. So I think it's just the neighborhood is sort of just this alchemist guild surrounding maybe the rim of the maw for ease of access to the ingredients, or at least close enough by.
Yeah, or maybe there's like a maw access point or something like that. It doesn't have to be right there, but it could be. We don't really know because the
Oopie Hill.
The table is not geography, as they say.
Heck, geography. Then as far as what to call it, I'm going to name it the Pox Cauldron.
Oh.
For irony's sake. I'm sorry, what you were saying, Mike?
The Extraordinary League of Special Juice.
Special Juice?
Yep.
I think that's the name of the guild. I think the neighborhood is the Pox Cauldron.
Oh, right. This is a neighborhood. I thought this was a landmark. I'm silly. We have quite the city. Look at us.
And I think this is going to be a very to appeal to a different kind of aesthetic. I think these are going to be like Victorian-esque type of houses.
Are they still grown or are these constructed?
Ooh, good question.
They could be grown and carved or something.
Maybe it's like the frames are grown and then, materials are tacked on. Just as long as you don't have that arsenic green wallpaper that those Victorians did have.
No. This one's yellow. What could it be grown out of?
Wood? Fungus?
Mushroom houses.
Mushroom Victorian style house. This is a fairy tale land.
Just as long as there aren't any Smurfs, and I'll be happy.
Oh, dang. I was going to add the Smurf compound.
It's not too late. I mean, we can have Snorks. That'll be our compromise.
Are they in any relation to Snork Maiden?
I hope not.
What do you mean? You hope not. Snork Maiden is a beloved Moomin character. I'll have you know, ARP.
I know. You got a true name there, Velvet?
I'm not there yet. Y'all have any suggestions?
I mean, you've got the, is it colorful Victorian?
Damp.
Definitely damp. It's not quite moist, but it's damp. Bubbling.
Okay.
Double toilet trouble.
Oh, now there's going to be a witch.
Exactly.
Do you want witches?
Wait.
This is how you get witches.
Wait.
I'm waiting.
So the frames are carved from trees, but then the rest of the infrastructure is made out of gingerbread.
Horrible.
Oh, no.
How does that happen?
I have no right. We have the technology, man.
You mustn't.
Okay.
You cannot let this happen.
It's like fungus interspersed with cinnamon and ginger and molasses. See, that's what you do is you slather the cinnamon, ginger, and molasses mixture on the wooden beams, and the mushrooms feed off of that to grow walls.
So it's damp, bubbling, enticing. They're very colorful.
Okay. What does it sound like there?
I think it's bubbling in the buildings proper, and then the area around it.
Is it quiet? Is it, subdued? Is it vibrant and busy?
Maybe subdued. I think I don't think they're exactly like super busy. But they do have, like, the customers they do have are consistent.
Okay. Is this an area people like to go, or do they kind of a place where they have to go?
I think more where they have to go.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't do the italics.
Okay. You got damp, bubbling, enticing, and subdued. Okay. I guess that leaves me. I think I'm going to put a landmark in the spaceport.
Yay, spaceport. Spaceship.
I think this is going to be, let's see, the shipyard.
Hey.
So this is a place where ships meet, like the ones that are alive or aware, rather, I should say. Ships can meet here and, have conversations, but it's all the vibe I'm going for is like a barbershop, but for ships.
Does it have the spinny poles?
Probably has some kind of like spinny pole sign out there. I'm just going to put a barbershop for ships where sentient or sapient vehicles can meet, chat, build community, and get serviced. Yeah, it's a hangout for sentient vehicles, but also where they can. Robots probably get into there too. Vehicles and robots can. Machine life. I'm just going to put where machine life. Okay. Machine life can meet, chat, build community, and get serviced according to their needs. Probably popular with Andromedans as well. Let's see. I guess the people there see themselves as, they kind of see themselves as the bedrock of this society because, we're the protectors, we're the builders, we do all this, infrastructure work and stuff like that. So they have a view of themselves. They're protective of the people who live here, but with a bit of a superiority complex. I think it fits in just fine with the spaceport. Like it doesn't clash with it. It's, people can go to the spaceport and they'll be like, oh yeah, the shipyard, that's just up the street. You can get that just 5 degrees south of the peak, something like that. I'm going to put that as the address.
If you go to Spaceport Mountain, you've gone too far.
What's its true name?
It's on Spaceport Mountain.
Yeah, it's on the side of the mountain, like built into the side of the mountain. Let's see. The clanking of metallic limbs, the soft roar.
I can tell you someone else who goes there a lot. Keva.
I like to talk to all the ships.
That's Keva.
Colleen, why do you have so many cheese flirts?
I found them online.
I don't believe that.
You're too powerful.
Okay, I did edit the Brie one.
Brie mine is good.
Yeah, Brie mine.
I do like Brie mine.
It's like these are the conversation hearts, but they're cheese with things written on them. Keva has given to Emrin for Valentine's Day.
Oh no.
Cheesy on the eyes. Brie mine. Talk curdy to me, to Havarti, and to hold. You are looking mozzarella good.
I appreciate the gesture, and I love you too, but Valentine's Day comes once a year, not every week.
So for its true name, I've put the clanking of metallic limbs, the soft roar of a dormant engine, a hiss of sparks, digital streams of machine communication. And that's the shipyard.
The shipyard.
Okay, event. Keekers, what's the industry event?
Industry event. Let me go back to the show notes. Apparently they got wet from my ginger beer. Gosh darn it.
Silly old ginger beer.
I heard ginger beard and I was like, you have
my massive ginger beard.
Ginger beer is a good drink, a good non-alcoholic drink for those of us that hate alcohol.
Amen.
This one was about the dairy industry because originally that was just one of the tags on it. Animal rights activists petition for the humane treatment of all dairy-producing animals.
So they were being treated inhumanely?
No. Probably not, but it was starting to head that way in some farms.
Oh, okay. There's like a gathering, a rally of people saying like, yo, hold up.
Let's make sure we're keeping this real.
That's not how we do things here.
Exactly.
Who are they clashing with? Who are the people or groups who are pushing things towards more of a mechanized factory farm type thing?
I hate to say that it's the Hygiean people, but it is the Hygiean because, well, it's not just all Hygieans. Let's put it this way. It's this one sect or section of Hygieans that have come and started cow farms that are basically, again, started to think, okay, there's money in making as much milk as possible. Let's try to find ways to get that going.
Yes, forgetting momentarily that money's not a thing here. So they're trying to push things in that direction. They're looking for efficiencies, right?
Yeah, but this was more of in relation to exporting.
So they want to set up a kind of a business that way.
Exactly, because if I imagine that there is money, well, I think we established that there is money in the Hygiean.
Yeah, there is in the Hygiean logistocracy, and in Gov's domain, they have a form of currency linked to bartering.
So what I was thinking was that, we're going to, we want to make money by exporting. So how do we make more money, basically?
Mm-hmm.
How do we produce more to make more money?
Okay, people got to get wind of this and aren't happy.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I will put that under events as what did I have it again? As animal rights activists get involved in the dairy industry.
Okay. And where does the neighborhood, or is this in the dairy industry neighborhood?
Most likely.
Okay. So this takes place in the dairy district.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Voices of the City. So that's the event, I guess, to reiterate, is a group of people from the Hygiean logistocracy are trying to find more efficient farming methods and are drifting towards factory farming. And there's a big protest against that.
Well, maybe they're right, seeing as how the emergency is coming.
An opinion, someone will say, if the goats and the rats have rights, the cows should too.
How sustainable is this really going to be long term?
Has anyone tried putting one of those collars on the cows? Maybe they have an opinion.
Why are you a private dick? Why did you become I'm gonna get the scoop on these cows, see?
That's the reporter, Shay.
I'll have you know I'm being a public dick right now.
Being a public dick is a lot better than being a dick in public.
That is the colloquialism for reporters. They are public dicks.
Public dicks. Welcome to Stories Without End.
I think a consequence, there starts to be some hostility towards Hygieans in general in the city.
No.
Not violence or anything, but like hostility, like people making snide comments when they see a Hygiean come in to trade or something, and they'll be like, oh, is this going to be efficient enough for you?
Rough.
Creates a tension in the city there.
Are you suggesting we have beef?
People are pretty cheesed off right now.
We're really milking that.
Golly!
Okay, so Keekers, is there anything you want to change about the city?
Is there anything I want to change? Can I tag?
It's on page 34.
Oh, thank you.
Events change the city around them at any point during the event phase. The player who declared the event may select a card or cards on the table that they feel have been changed by the circumstances of the event and reflect those changes on the corresponding cards. Do you think there are any cards that have been changed as a result of this?
Going back to the thing. Okay. Was there anything I wanted to change? Not necessarily. The only thing that was going in my head was that maybe someone would try to like open up another section at the Concord Lagoon that dealt with animal negotiations.
Okay.
I don't know.
Like a commission of animal welfare?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine for this not to change any cards.
Yeah. I think that it doesn't necessarily, like, I'm not going to go in and edit that card. I just want to say, generally, like, this doesn't edit a card, but just tack on and say, this, like, basically means that there's probably more offices at the Concord Lagoon dealing with animal rights. That's it.
Okay. I've added some notes on that event into the Dairy District card. So when you're done, events are never monolithic. No single perspective has all the facts. After you take on the final voice of the city, You should end the event phase by writing a second perspective on the back of the tented card. So what's your voice of the city for this event, Keekers?
Just imagine Keva like standing in front of a podium doing like some sort of weird news thing.
Okay.
And just being like this like public figure, Keva Jarma, is here now giving us her perspective on the controversy of the Hygiean plan to expand the dairy industry. And Keva is there. It's like, I grew up on, many of you have grew up as well in your towns, growing side by side with goats and sheep. We lived alongside our animal friends that would help provide us with more resources that we need, textiles, dairy. When unfortunately one of our friends would pass on, they would allow us to, and Keva kind of stops there. It's like, well, you know what I mean. But anyway, the point that needs to be made here is that we can't lose sight of ethical treatment of animals. I know that our friends in the Hygiean fleet were just lost sight of what was really important and put someone else's needs before others. But if we just take a step back and remember what's really important, I'm sure that they will agree that what's more important is that everyone's happy and not just the few.
Okay. Pop over to that Street Hacks cards and pick a card.
Someone labeled one.
Who labeled that?
It was me. I had a good feeling about that one.
I love that energy.
Okay, I picked that one then.
Okay, so click on
It's
it.
going to be so bad.
You click on it and press delete, and it will remove the covering card and show us what lies beneath. Terraforming troubles.
See, I knew it.
Okay. Aha. Okay. There is dissension in the Hygiean fleet, perhaps as a result of their recent treatment in the city. Many want more territory on HabLON, and they want to force people to use their terraforming technology and use it more quickly to speed up the terraforming of more territory. This would interfere with the more natural ecological healing processes and what the pillars are doing. The question here is, how do you prevent a civil war?
We convinced the Lord Stark that civil war would be more inefficient in the long run.
Who does that? Who goes out to talk to her?
Oh, I mean, if no one will, Maeve will. Maeve actually probably super digs the Lord Stark.
I think Keva would go too because she and the Lord Stark have a connection. I don't know how the Lord Stark viewed that situation, though.
Largely with amusement. She's very old and very arrogant.
She literally fears nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, I think her view is like, well, it's a slow process. It's been like 5-6 years at this point. There are still so many of my people living out here in space when they should be living in there. And the issue is there's not enough, arable territory yet. So why don't we just speed up this process? I need to take care of my people. This was the deal.
What if we started doing since there's so much plenty on the station, what if we started doing at least food runs to the asteroid belt?
You want to export more food into the area? I think like their concern is like that would be nice for them to get stuff like, luxuries like dairy and fresh foods and stuff like that more often. But most of them just they want to put down roots, and they can't right now because it's a desert and they don't know how to live in a desert, or rather they don't want to live in a desert, especially one that's not a real desert. It's just dead land that has been deliberately killed.
And the speeding up of the terraforming would cause more of the mutations we're seeing in the pillars, right?
It would probably interfere with the pillars in some way. It would definitely cause climate issues throughout the habitat, whether short-term or long-term. It's difficult to say. The damage to the climate control systems in the habitat was extensive when the sun came in and when it went back out again.
Why don't we set up some more like domes, and like those domes, like they'll take up room, but under them you can start terraforming, and then slowly like that way you have bubbles that are terraformed and you can do it faster, but it's closed off from the rest of the outside, so you can slowly terraform the outside and then slowly, take the domes away.
So you want to like have isolated pockets where they can do their terraforming?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, however many years hence, take down the domes when it's safe and ecologically sound to do so.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is an imperfect solution, but all solutions to political conflicts are. So, they agree. It's like, we'll start with one dome and we'll see what the ecological impact is, but, we can't be shooting at each other, so let's just try and chill. Okay, so you prevent that civil war. Who wants to kick off the next round?
I had an idea.
Yeah.
I guess the compass for this will be spirituality.
Okay, I will put that into the compass list.
Super interesting. Okay.
Just realized I could totally cheat by looking at what's under every card.
You could, but please don't.
Yeah.
You can also select one like I did.
This is true. I'm just gonna look at cheese puns again and eat my tater tots.
Best sentence ever.
Now I want tater tots.
Now I want
Right.
tater tots.
Okay.
The things that Keva said to the largest arc was, "Ricotta, getting through this."
Okay. So and I start first since I chose the compass.
Yep.
Okay. Could we declare that we are near one of the big lake? So I guess it's also closer for the Centaurans.
For what?
Just for like mind's eye purposes.
Okay. I think there are Centauran. There's like an actual full-on Centauran settlement in like Sector 7, but like the Centaurans here, they live in the canal system.
Okay, gotcha.
And like other constructed bodies of water. I think that's what the canal system was for, that in transit, right? Keekers?
Yeah.
All right, tater tots, sorry.
Okay.
How dare you interrupt the feast?
Oh, it's a hot dog and tater tots. I should have mentioned.
Even better.
Oh, even better.
So I think
Oh, sorry, they're not in Sector 7, they're in Sector 2. Sector 7 is controlled by De Winton. Sorry, go ahead.
De Winton.
Is Winton dead?
Several times.
We're working on it.
There's the person in Sectors 6 and 7, the true Church of Gov, claims to be Sunminister De Winton.
Okay, but the real one did get blown up with the sun, right?
As far as we know, the real one was killed by Denton when he blew up the spire.
This man's like a 20th level wizard. Just keeps appearing everywhere.
He is basically a lich.
Gandalf the Grey was...
we stand liches, just not that particular lich.
All right, sorry, Velvet, you're up.
I would like to introduce a landmark to the like medical pavilion neighborhood.
Ooh.
And I think it's gonna be like a big ass Alexandria style library.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because Maeve does not trust the Gov as far as she could throw any of them. And so she's like, I'm making this library. It's gonna have all of the books so no one tries to pull this shenanigan again.
gosh, she is so for it. And then we're going to have a large, fresco of all the different gods and goddesses of knowledge from all over the world.
I'll be right back. Don't pause. Just keep going.
Okay.
I'm not running the game, so I'm not vital this time.
Oh no. I'm in charge. This is dangerous.
Well, if you're in charge, that means there's no rules.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to call it the Nexus, and I think I'm just going to describe it as a repository of combined knowledge and historical record.
Great. It really cracks me up to just imagine CG in charge of a whole neighborhood.
This is an idea. I don't know if it is a good one. They're a blessing and a curse.
Okay, my thinking is that CD would be like, okay, but I want it to be covered in black marble. And then they stop.
It can be absolutely like a black marble pyramid.
Horrible.
Mm.
Scary. Horrifying.
That's what it is now. That's what it is now.
It may not be actual marble, but it's definitely black.
It's just a very dark species of fungus that has been shaped into the shape of a pyramid.
Exactly.
Personally, I would like to be educated in the fungus pyramid of knowledge.
The fungus pyramid of knowledge.
Yep.
And then for the true name, I want it to be imposing.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible chanting.
Yes.
It's just a bunch of degenerated intelligences repeating
Dissonant
facts
chanting
over and over again.
Let's see. All right, so we've got visual, we've got auditory. Probably what does it smell like? Like old books.
Yeah, old books.
There are recovered, formerly heretical books that we can bring and put there.
And then it's cold.
We keep those books climate controlled.
There's obviously, it's also cold for the servers.
Mm-hmm.
That's super tight. I love this place.
Yeah.
Hey.
There is at least one mummy inside of this pyramid, though, I have to say.
We just have like a bunch of Iron Maidens and sarcophagi,
Wait.
but no one's ever opened them, so nobody knows what's in them.
They're just like, don't worry about that. They brought that over from the Hedonarchy. Like, don't worry about that.
All the signs just say like, "Hey, don't worry about it. Don't open it."
Well, we had agreed that the Nexus is a gigantic black pyramid.
All right.
Made of mushrooms.
A pyramidal mushroom. Why not?
I love this place. It's my favorite place in the Citadel.
Hey. Okay, so that's me. Whoever has one next, feel free to jump in.
I got one.
Mm.
Oh, do it.
This is a resident of the Nexus, the antiquarian.
Yes.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Is it just chains? Was I heard there when I said that?
I don't know. Is it chains?
I think it might be. It could be chains. I had no ideas.
I mean, Solomon Chains, that would fit.
Chains Solomon.
Chains Solomon.
Chains Solomon has assumed the moniker of the antiquarian. Chains cares for this pyramidal fungoid installation in the city, and just fosters an environment of absolute respect for knowledge and information, and believes in the neutrality and democratization of all that information.
I also feel that it's important to mention that he also runs Children's Story Hour.
Of course he reads to children. He's chains.
Of course he reads to children. That used to be his thing.
I just want to say the library part of the librarian, again, in case anyone forgot, I went to school to be a librarian. This is just so... I'm just like, oh, I want to be chains. Can I work there? Can I be one of the other librarians there?
You Keekers can be a new librarian there.
I have my degree like right to the right of me on my bookshelf, and it's signed. The University of South Florida has conferred on Colleen the degree of Masters of Arts in Library and Information Science.
What would you like to set up as a vignette, Mike?
I think it's Chains helping or overseeing the installation of the Nexus's server system for interior use.
Do you think Maeve's there?
Yeah. Maeve is a seeker of truth, after all.
Okay.
I'm compelling that that aspect.
Oh shit!
You're going way back now.
To the before times.
So I think the server is. Are you putting this in like a cloud on the Wave, or is this a backup of the physical stuff that you're setting up?
I think that it is both. I think that it is probably publicly accessible through the Wave, but it is also a digital backup of the collected ephemera that cannot be accessed. For those who can't come physically, they can look at it through the Wave.
All right. So you'll have to, like with the Wave, to make servers, you cultivate a fungal mat, and you grow the Wave, the specially engineered fungus that transmits and repeats the Wave. So you would be basically growing a patch of mushrooms to set up a server.
So much fungus among us.
It's the whole Wave. It's all fungus.
Makes me think of the fungus from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh no.
Oh gosh.
So yes, Chains is growing a new fungal mat in order to extend the Wave, and that's what. I'm playing Chains.
Yeah, you're Chains. You're
Chains.
doing this.
What did he sound like? Oh God.
Wizard voice.
Has a voice like a wizard from a movie.
Yes, that's very good over there. It's a perfect place, centrally located in the Nexus. What do you think, young apothecary?
Chains is the page master.
The page master.
Page master.
I'm not an apothecary anymore, Chains, but that's fine. Just whatever makes ease of access most expeditious.
We could always install a tunnel into the maw.
No, I'm sick of trying to kick out those little gov snoopers who try to come in through the tunnels. They're not allowed in the maw. I'm not giving them another way in.
Sorry, just chaotic. Oh, hi, everyone. Oh, this is nice.
CD, how did you get here?
I walked into the front door.
Did they walk or did they roll? Are they still rocking the treads?
No, they walk.
Chains puts his arms in between his sleeves and looks nonplussed and turns his full attention to the mushrooms.
CD goes over and looks at them and is like, Am I allowed to touch them?
You are not allowed to do many things. Touch them least of all.
Is there a list? Like, could I see it so I make sure I don't break?
Chains produces a laminated list.
CD takes the list.
There's an itinerary of things that CD in particular is not allowed to touch. Particularly all the antiques that have been brought over from the logistocracy and brought up from hiding by the various cells of XCOM.
CD looks at some of these and it was like, did you get one of the sarcophagus I sent?
Yes.
Oh, good. CD writes on it the sarcophagus under things CD's not allowed to touch.
Right. Okay. Chains brings CD over to the museum portion of the Nexus to show off the antiques and what in particular are not allowed to touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then soon it will be children's reading hour.
As they leave the room, an eye rises up from one of the mushrooms in the newly growing patch, and a hand, small ones, and they wave at Maeve and give a wink before sinking back into the mushrooms.
Don't go beset.
I will never get used to that.
He lives.
Shroom Deg Shroom.
Shroom.
Just another thing for Maeve to not tell us for seasons upon seasons.
You will know about Deg Shroom.
Everyone knows about Deg Shroom. He's just
Yeah.
saying hi.
I had a
No,
full
but-
conversation with Shroom.
No, it's a joke.
Yeah, I know. I got the joke.
You got it? You get what I'm referencing to?
Yes.
Can we do a scene? Can we do
Oh.
a scene really quickly? Keva comes in and is like, "Hey, Maeve, is there anything you've been meaning to tell me?"
Okay. So spirituality.
I'm ready. I even have my card completed.
Oh, damn. Hell yeah, Trudy.
We got a location in the free medical hospital compound. It is
Yeah.
Statue of Gov.
Oh.
It is It is a statue of Gov erected shortly after the completion of the Nexus. It is as close to the Nexus as is allowed, obviously in direct response to the Nexus's creation itself.
Oh.
I respect that shade.
I love it. I
It's
absolutely
like that
love
Dragon Age epilogue where they put up the statue of Turnlow Gate in front of the Orlesian embassy.
it.
Yeah.
That's
That's-
good.
Oh my gosh!
Put
Hell
a,
yeah.
put a
Everyone's
statue
adding
of
stuff.
Anders in front of the chantry.
Oh, respect, Trudy.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
No,
I love
no, apologize. I love it.
Zora, the Sword of Gov, is probably the hardest person in the city.
You got imposing, stately, and well attended.
What
Nice.
the heck does Gov look like?
That's a good question. What does Gov look like, Matt?
You know, there's no official depiction of Gov in the accounts because Gov is an abstract, right? Gov is a concept, so this would have to be abstract art, and it probably has to have an artist's statement explaining what it is.
Maybe a little plaque.
Mm-hmm.
Is it maybe just like a big ass obelisk? Like I feel like when people don't have like something in mind, they just do an obelisk.
Yeah, I think they probably would avoid an orb because of the connotation or the connection that would have to the sun, which people do not want to memorialize. But I don't know, maybe an obelisk, or maybe it's like a cube or a collection of
A
shapes.
cube.
What if
I
it's a
dig that.
cube made of interlinking hands?
Cool.
Ooh.
Ooh!
I love that. All right.
Just
So-
imagine two students messaging each other. Oh yeah, go ahead and two medical students go meet me at 3 p.m. in front of the Statue of Gov. Then we'll go and get a boba tea.
I don't know what that is, but I want one.
Boba tea?
I was being the other teen.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Is there anyone else to go, or is it me now?
I'm still writing down notes for my next move.
Okay. What do I want to introduce here for spirituality? I'm going to put something in Concord Lagoon, a landmark, and that is the. And this is it's a building that is made out of. It's another fungus building. Why not? It's a combination fungus and tree building. Like it's got tree branches growing up and through it to provide structure, and then like sheets of fungus down the sides and curtains and such. And this is where people do research through information freely available on the Wave and through different archives that are being recovered about what was our culture like before the sun came. So it's a lot of research going on there. People go to both teach and learn and study. So it's not a school, but it is a place of learning about lost cultures, and people decide or attempt to reclaim or re-engage with those things. So I think it is, let's see, just outside the HabLON Pavilion, and it is research into life and culture, religions, and so on from before the Sun's genocide. And I think it is, you'd think this was a quiet place, but it's not. It's loud, lively, laughter and tears, and the joy of connection. And that's the Society for the Rediscovery of Lost Cultures, a landmark just outside the HabLON Pavilion in Concord Lagoon. Loud, lively, laughter and tears, the joy of connection. Has everybody gone this round?
I have not, but I have it written down near the Pox Cauldron and the Free Medical Hospital compound. So it's kind of attached to both of them, I want to say, is the Graveyard and Memorial. It's one of the larger graveyards within the city limits that also has a memorial in the corner that is dedicated to friends whose remains we no longer have. And it is a grim, peaceful, and sobering place where you can hear the wind blowing through the trees.
Lovely. Thank you. I think we will end after this round for now, and we'll, I guess, meet up again ASAP to the last 2 rounds so that everybody gets one. But what's the event that caps us off here, Velvet? And Mike, you're free to leave whenever you need to. Not that you need my permission.
No, I want to see the event.
Do I come up with like a random event, or is it one of the cards on the Google slide?
We'll do that after, but you... holding an event is an event related to spirituality that affects or centers around a resident landmark or neighborhood, or just, holding an event is in the book, if you want, on page 31 of the PDF.
Okay, cool. I'm right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe since Trudy gave me an awesome setup, I think maybe the event will center around, I guess how seriously, feel free to correct my wording because I want to word this as like respectfully as possible, but I think some debate on how seriously they're going to continue to follow certain like strictures of gov, since for a lot of folks, learning about the AIs has kind of invalidated that.
Mm-hmm. Is it like a spiritual crisis? Is it a protest? Is it a public parade, a debate?
I think maybe it's a kind of crisis. I think, like you still have fundamentalists and maybe certain folks in position of power who are still trying to maintain certain stringent rules, but everybody's like, yo, like we know about the AI, like if you want to keep doing that, go for it, but the rest of us want out.
Okay.
Gov is testing us. This is all just a test.
Oh wow.
And sorry, which landmark, or is this tied to the statue?
Yeah, I guess it's tied to like the statue in the Nexus, but I guess we can make it the statue. That's cool.
Okay. I'll put it on the statue because that's just so we have it in one place. Event 3, Crisis of Faith. Okay, so what do we believe now that we know the truth about Gov? And this is a test. Gov is testing us, is one voice of the city. What else have we got?
I think as a consequence, if there are any attempts to make a reform gov religion, I think that attendance swells where before it was trickles.
Okay.
Maybe out of spite to this opinion.
I dig it.
All right. I think there's a segment of people who have the opinion like Gov, this whole system of belief is a fiction. Why should we cling to it? It was designed to destroy us. They probably don't say fiction. They probably say like a farce.
Yeah.
Other voices?
I think some of the other voices are saying we should go back to the old ways. What were how did our ancestors worship? What did they think?
I mean, we can all grow robot pods, bug pods, and have all these different powers. Why are we worshipping anything?
You can't fool me. I know that's Maeve.
Right. It's just Maeve in a hat and mustache, like whispering to people.
It's like, who was that mysterious man?
A Clone High episode with John Dark.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other voices? That was everybody, right? Contributed a voice. And Velvet, you contributed the last one. So at the end there, is there any alteration to the city that you think happens as a result of this?
Ooh. I think if the conversation comes up, Maeve is never shy to express her animosity for Gov and their church.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there could be an uptick of, I guess, uncomfortability or even outright, like, I guess, contention against the Maw from those fundamentalist groups.
Okay. Hostility towards the Maw from fundamentalist groups due to Maeve's, in parentheses, lack of beliefs here. Okay, draw a card then.
Bottom right.
Okay, just click on it and delete.
Oh, shit.
The emergency arrives.
What?
Okay.
The emergency arrives.
Okay. All right.
Matt? Why was that on the list, Matt?
So does this mean that we're done?
We're fighting the emergency as soon as season 3 starts. Got it.
It doesn't mean we're done, and I'll tell you why. This is sudden. The emergency moves in unpredictable ways that no one can really foresee. And, the shroud, people assumed the shroud had been holding because the emergency hadn't arrived yet. So they thought, the emergency knows there's something somewhere around here, but it doesn't know where. And it hasn't found us, and maybe it never will. We'll just continue on with our lives as much as we can. But as it turns out, the emergency just moves differently from anything that anyone understands. It doesn't follow the regular laws of physics. It would normally take to get from the Earth to the asteroid belt anywhere from a couple of months to almost a year, but it's been like 5 years at this point. So why didn't it arrive yet? Obviously because we were hidden. But no, that's not the case. All of a sudden, the emergency is simply here, outside of HabLON, and the telescopes can see it, and the emergency, as we described before, is a massive shifting shape in space, a shimmering haze, but its face, if it has such a thing, or the front end of it, what we assume is the front end, is like an eternally blooming lotus flower. It opens and opens and opens with petals the size of a planet and larger. Each time, each of these petals covered in slightly different lights, almost as if they were endless eyes. And the emergency arrives, and HabLON attempts to fight back. Ships fire their weapons into this hazy creature, and they simply disappear. And the flower, the size of the world, blooms and blooms and blooms. And suddenly, those blooms reverse, and they close around the fleet, the habitat, and everything. And the world shatters. It doesn't hurt, but it is strange. You see things from the past as if they were happening now, and things that are yet to come as if they were happening now, and things that are happening now feel like distant memories. All at once, everything is happening. An interminable time seems to pass before everybody awakens seemingly at once. The familiar ceiling of the habitat is gone. There is a shattered arc of HabLON's wall resting above the city, like a ring of a planet or a giant solid rainbow. Sputtering lights from the solar array fitfully illuminate the city below, but beyond that, everything is in a perpetual twilight. There are stars, which most people have never seen before, but those stars are wrong. They're not the stars we're expecting to see. They're not the colors we expect them to be. There are moons, other things visible in the sky, and the first scouts sent out return from the outskirts of the city with devastating news. The rest of the world is gone. There is only this city. When you reach the outskirts and you look down, there's just more shifting twilight sky below with all those strange lights and moons and other shapes floating around. Where did the rest of the world go? Why did we survive? The emergency came, but the world didn't end.
What?
So I guess that's where we're cutting off for today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I feel like you put that card there knowing I'd pick it.
There's 2 more events after this, too.
Yeah, so we can, get excited about goats and I can't. How is anything else gonna
Yeah.
There's
We're
2
just
more
gonna be
things
like-
that have to happen.
Yeah, but nothing could possibly be worse than that. And I can't imagine being
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Wow.
I have no regrets.
Thanks, Matt.
You gotta keep living, so, what do you do when the rest of the world disappears?
We're just in worse than hell. Don't worry about it.